G'day Benchmates, and welcome to episode 30 of Beyond the Box Art. And we are joined by Sam Dwyer, Scott Taylor and John Marley. Your host, as usual, is Brownie, with his co-hosts Stan, Nevs, Balders and Shane.
Hiya Benchmates, and welcome to episode 30 of Beyond the Box Art. Now then, this episode proves once again that scale modelling really is one of the most global hobbies on the planet, because as you just heard on the intro, this time around we've got fantastic guests all the way from Australia for a genuinely brilliant conversation covering the hobby, the community, and what keeps us coming back to the bench time after time. But before we get underway properly, as this episode lands at the start of Pride Month, all of us here at Beyond the Box Art want to send a huge message of support and friendship to all of our LGBTQ plus benchmates around the world. Because at the end of the day, this hobby is about creativity, friendship, storytelling, history, passion, and above all else, inclusivity. Whether you're building aircraft, armour, ships, sci-fi, Gundam, cars, figures, or absolutely anything else, there should never be a barrier to pulling up a chair at the bench. No one should ever feel excluded from this hobby because of who they are. And honestly, the modelling community is at its very best when it reflects the incredible variety of people who make it what it is. So wherever you're listening from across our global benchmate community, happy Pride Month from all of us here on the show. Right then, enough of the sensible stuff before Nevs disappears into the galley looking for the rum rations. Grab a brew, clear a bit more space in that definitely not overflowing stash on the edge of the bench, and settle in, because episode 30 starts now. So for this episode, I'm joined by Boulders.
Hello all.
Dan.
Hello Benchmate.
And Nevs.
Hello all, and welcome to episode 30.
Oh, he's building his part up, isn't he? Blimey. So did it take it a year?
Yeah, I think he's going for a power play here, Brownie.
Anyway, okay, let's do the normal and find out what everyone's been working on since the last time you've been on, because Boulders and Dan, you missed out on the last one. So Dan, what have you got on your bench?
Currently on the bench, well, what's just driven off the bench is the Esky / Italeri rebox of the Ford Escort RS 1800 Rothmans rally car. Now, this was built for my first ever group build I've ever got involved with. And it was the Rally Cool group build on the Blue Ox model shop page, which is run by Jason Hanscom. That's on Facebook, by the way. And yeah, they predominantly build American type muscle cars over there, and he kicked off this rally car. I think he did it last year as well, and you could choose any kit as long as it was a rally car, including stuff like Paris Dakar, obviously World Rally Championship, vintage rallies from years ago, or right up to modern day stuff. Did consider the L kit Toyota GR Yaris, but quite expensive for my taste at the moment, yeah. Although they do a Mark 1 Escort as well. But no, went with this. It was a bit of a yin and yang kit, really. The body shell shape is fantastic. Considering how old it is, it's really, really good. And the rest of it, my God. The glass is like looking through the end of a milk bottle. The struts, where all of the bracing for the front axle and all the rest of it, the locating pins are very, very vague, so it almost falls apart when you're trying to get it all back, get it all together.
So more of a suggestion than actually a locating pin.
It really is, yeah. And you've lots of testing, taking it apart, putting it back together before I sort of committed. But on the other hand, the decals are beautiful because they're cartograph. And they're really, really nice. And what they've managed to do, I mean, this is pretty much the only game in town if you want to do a Mark II Ford Escort, because I know this has been reboxed quite a few times. But overall, I'd say it's probably something I wouldn't have attempted a while ago, but now feel like I could have a go at it. Now I did full on like gloss coating using Mr. Hobby GX and all that sort of stuff for the first time. So it was a bit of an experiment. I have subsequently now got another rally car kit that's just arrived, but that one's got Tamiya on the box, so we should be in safe territory.
Okay, so the decals, I noticed you said Rothmans.
Yes.
That's not aftermarket then, they've actually put cigarette advertising in the box.
Aha, what they've done is they've split the word, and on the decal sheet it says Manroths.
Got you.
But what they've also done, there's a logo on the bonnet, which is, it's like an arched rectangle. It's like a rectangle with an arch on it, which is obviously the badge for that rally. But that has the Rothmans scroll writing. And if anybody doesn't know what Rothmans is, it's them horrible things you smoke and cause problems. So
Used to, because that's why they're allowed to put it in the box now, because Rothmans is no longer a brand.
Ah, right. Well, Rothmans used to sponsor football annuals or the football results books that used to come out every year. A bit like the Wisden's cricket annuals. Rothmans was always the football guide that came out at the end of every season. Anyway, so that's been a really good project, and I would encourage anyone to just have a go at a car kit because they're great fun. It's very quick turnaround. It took me about 3 weeks in total, and that was doing other stuff as well. That was not rushing it, if you know what I mean. That was just sort of here and there. So cool. Give them a go. I had to make some seatbelts as well because it comes with decals for the seatbelts and they're awful. So I made those out of Tamiya tape and painted them. And then I cut out the Saybelt logo and then used that as a decal on the seatbelt. So again, just tried a few different things that I've never done before. So it's what the hobby's all about really, isn't it?
Absolutely. And what have you been spending your cash on then?
Cash-wise, I bought yet another 148 black box Tamiya kit, and it's the Cromwell Mark IV cruiser tank, which is another gorgeous one. It's one of the early ones. It's got a metal chassis, but I also got for it the Black Dog resin upgrade set. Not a huge amount of 148 upgrade sets for 148 kits, but no, lovely kit. Really, really good.
And you're fully recovered from your experience on the quarter scale palm pod then?
Yeah, that was good fun. We had a great chat. Imposter syndrome kicked in really because I was talking to Stan Spooner and Luke Pitt, who are like, two of the best quarter scale builders, two of the best modelers in the world, to be honest with you. They've been going at it for years. And we discussed Stan's model box shop, which is a really interesting concept that he's kicked off over there in the States. So it's in Texas. It's a hub where you can buy models, but you can also build models there as well. They've got lockers where you can finish your build, put it in a locker and then come back another time. And they've got airbrushing booths there and obviously lots of people to help with experience. Although he did say the biggest seller so far through the door is all the Warhammer and Gundam stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
Okay. Well, we've just been joined by Shane, who's on holiday down in Dorset, having been to the Tank Museum today. And in all honesty, Shane, I think you could have made a bit of effort with your T-shirt. You seem to have a hole in one. Oh, that sounds familiar.
There you go.
So what have you been building then?
So I have finished the Gundam Death Scythe, which it's been a really lovely build actually. I was in the final throes when we last recorded, but yeah, it's all finished off and it's gone together really nicely.
And it was your graphic that was on the front of the episode for 29.
It was, yes, indeed. Yeah. So yeah, a little bit of help from the computer on that one. But so yeah, I'm really pleased with how that build came out actually. Tried a few different things on it. Jacob was obviously inspired as well because we ended up finishing off his Gundam Peon, which we've been working on together. I'm sort of cutting the bits out and he's building it. I've got far too fat fingers for the RG stuff. It's crazy. And yeah, it's been on the bench wise. That's what we've been up to. It's been a chilled couple of weeks actually, obviously with holiday in between as well. But yeah, that's us.
So come on then, the hole in one, your first ever.
Yeah, 30 years.
I know the guys from the Geeks will be keen to actually hear about this.
Yeah, 30 years playing the game, 30 plus years playing the game. First ever hole in one. I've had a fair few on academy courses and stuff, but this was my first proper hole in one on a proper golf course, which is at my home club at Letchworth. 17th hole, 185 into the wind. So yeah, it was a proper shot. And watched it go in all the way. It was right at it all the way, one bounce and then just released out into the hole, disappeared.
And now you know why you don't actually shout about it when you get back to the club room, because how many people did you have to buy a round for?
Yeah, so in our club, we have a hole-in-one bell, which you are obliged to ring once you enter the clubhouse. There were 78 people there. What are you doing, Eds?
Oh, 600 quid then?
In prerequisite of what have I spent my cash on, I have spent all of my cash and then some on the bar bill. That is what I spent all of my cash on, all of it, and then some. But that's what credit cards are for.
I bet that was more than your wedding, wouldn't it?
Do you know what? Yeah. Inflation is a thing.
Yeah.
I think me and Mrs. Cow have been married now. I think it's 13 years this year. I should know really, shouldn't I? I think it's 13 years.
Shane, I've just had a thought. You could build a little diorama to celebrate it.
I mean, I could do.
If you can buy a 3D printed golfer, you could do a forced perspective of you teeing off and the ball in the air and just popping in the hole. See, never seen a golf.
Oh, I thought you were going to say a 3D printed bar.
Why doesn't he just get himself 3D scanned?
The course could be in 70-second scale and he could be in 1:144 and then it'd be accurate.
Yeah.
Right, so bring your pause to model you.
I've already said it would come out in 1/72nd, but I've been scanned in 1/48, or even 1/35, you know.
That's fired.
But there you go. Yeah, no, what a day though. Honestly, it's in a proper competition as well.
Oh dear. Okay, boulders. What have you got on the bench?
Bit similar to Dan. I've got 2 rally cars on the go, but I've not done anything for the last few days with the heat and that because I'm not risking deckling in this heat. So I've got a Tamiya 24th scale Subaru Impreza 22B, which is Richard Burns' rally car. And I've got, I can't believe what it says, the god-awful Italeri Esci Audi Quattro.
Oh, goodness.
Of Hannu Mikkola. It's horrendous. The front end's completely wrong for Hannu Mikkola's Audi Quattro. It's got the full indicators on, which Hannu Mikkola's only had the small strips on the front. Wrong wing mirrors. There's loads of other different bits. So I'm having to scratch build, whole new front end, all new wing mirrors. So I might just stick with Tamiya. But Tamiya, apparently, the Quattro, they don't do a rally version, only a road version. So I'll have to possibly go, like Dan said, towards Bell Kit and get an Audi Quattro S1. But the prices of them are a bit expensive.
I think they are worth it, though.
Yeah, they're worth it.
So advanced modeler syndrome's kicked in then.
If you've got to depict Hannu Mikkola's Audi Quattro, then you need to do it correctly. Because, you know, the guy was an absolute genius on behind the wheel. And yeah, you can't just build it with, you know, the normal road wing mirrors on it. They never had them. There were small little spotlight ones mounted to the side, and that was it. Decal-wise, the decals, again, cartographed, are absolutely superb. It just needs a little bit of work, but I'm not going OTT on it. I'm just going to fill the sides and use some plastic strip just to create the indicator lights. That's it. And tubing for the new wing mirrors and shave it down. I've also got my table mat challenge for the club for next month. And I, again, I've lost 4 days due to the weather because as soon as I spray, it's just dust everywhere. So I've not been able to do that. So yeah, I've completed 2 models. 3, actually. 3 in the space of a fortnight.
What were you working on the last time we recorded? It was a boat or a ship, a floaty thing.
Yeah, so I built another floaty thing. I got this at the kit swap last week. It's 1/350th, and I built it in less than 45 minutes. It's all done, all ready to display.
How on earth have you done it in that time?
So Magic Factory produced a Chinese Type 55 destroyer, which looks a bit similar to our Type 45, and it's snap fit. And it's that good of a fit, you cannot see the join lines. It's an impressive bit of kit, absolutely impressive. All colour-coded plastic. The only thing it's lacking is railings. That's about it. But everything else, it's all pre-coloured. And I think that might be the way forward.
Do they do any others?
I don't actually know. I've not looked down, but it's impressive. It's a good 50 centimetres long.
I'd only say because my youngest, he's mad on Top Gun and carrier decks and all the moment. And I don't think he can do cut and glue parts together, but snap fit would be perfect for him. Would be absolutely perfect.
How old is he, Dan?
Well, he'll be 10, but George is in his head. Because George has autism, so he's more like a 6-year-old, really, But he's good with Lego. I can sit him down with a Lego kit and he'll say, I'm fine, I can do it. And he'll sort of plow through that and just ask for help now and again. But the thing is, Gundam would be perfect, but he's just not into it. And he has to be into the subject to want to build it. And I wonder if there's a carrier deck. It doesn't really matter which one it is, but a snap fit carrier deck would be absolutely perfect for him.
Snap fit. So like the Shinano kits is, yes, so you could try them, but also the Meng stuff is snap fit. So I've got a Lexington. They've done, I know that.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, if you want it, it's on the website.
You get that one in there.
But they also do a Bismarck and a little plug there. They do the Bismarck and the Rodney as well.
Okay.
So they are snap fit. Also the Academy, if he fancies Missouri. So the Missouri in the Academy is snap fit. The Enterprise isn't. So don't get.
What's the one in the second Top Gun movie? Is that the Lincoln? Are they on Lincoln? Whitey was probably.
I think I just heard a tumbleweed go past, but I think it was Brownie's breathing.
And I only say, I'm not too up on it, but I only say that because there's a bobblehead when they're on the control deck or whatever, and there's a little bobblehead of Abraham Lincoln, and I wonder if they're on the whatever the Lincoln is in America. I don't know.
I think it is the Lincoln,
Okay, and they are like lugs inside that they're a positive sort of press together, and it will stay together.
Yeah,
and they're color coded as well.
Yeah.
It was the Theodore Roosevelt CVN 71 and the Abraham Lincoln CVN 72.
Ah, there we go. Brownie's been firing up the Googleator in the background there. Well done.
Correct. And coming off of Wi-Fi.
Talking of coloured kits, has anybody seen the Border fully painted 135th Mustang? What do you think?
If you're trying to entice people into the hobby that haven't built before, interesting. I can see why. But why they've chosen that scale, that subject, and I just get a feeling of it's going to have to go into the paint strip for anyone who's going to actually put a serious finish onto it.
It might break my mojo. I think doing my mojo on the P51 because I've never completed one. So if I just throw it together, it's all done.
Well, why not do that, and then you can do a nice natural metal finish on it.
It's already got one.
It's already done. Oh, no. My thoughts were trying to weather it, because is the plastic going to be okay with like oil? Because I use artist oils. Is the solvent going to start attacking the paint that they've put on there? I don't know. Or are you going to need to put a sort of gloss or a satin coat on it first to protect it? There's quite a few unknowns with this.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Has anyone actually got their hands on one yet? When's it due out?
It's the thick end of 60 quid. I know that.
Actually, it's 75.
Is it?
Well, I think with the Gundam stuff's all right. It's obviously, I mean, again, it depends on the type of plastic, doesn't it? But, you can do both, can't you? Weather it and then seal it, or seal it and then weather it.
If you go on to Jadlam have got the colour screenshots. I don't think it looks that bad,
Because they've managed to do like the oil canning type effect on panels and stuff, haven't they?
Yeah. The only problem is they give you 3 decals. And I think I said this in the Stash Inflation report? They give you the decals for 2 of them, but on the 3rd one, you'd have to fully repaint the aircraft.
Oh, okay.
One's called Creamer's Dream.
And what's the finish on the decals going to be? Because some decals have a sort of semi-matte finish, some have more of a glossy finish, don't they? So you're putting, the decals have got to match the pre-painted panels, haven't they? In sort of what the sheen level is on the panels. Go on, Shane.
Well, just gonna say you can get like the transfers, because there's like a lot of the Gundam stuff comes with dry transfer decals on the Gundam stuff. So William might have some in his Banshee that he's doing, and they literally just like you cut them out, you put them on, you almost like scrape over the top, a bit like reverse transfer.
Well, they're on that's what they use for a lot of the tyre decals in the Formula One kits and stuff like that. Well, a lot of race car kits.
Yeah. But it could be those, and in which case you wouldn't get any marks whatsoever.
No. I'm just wondering if they're using the same technology as Trumpeter. Christ, might get your teeth back in. That Trumpeter has used on the Transformer figures.
That's what I thought straight away as soon as I saw it.
Because looking at it, it's the propeller they've obviously injected the black first, and then the black comes up the sprue gate, and then it's piled in then with silver. So they must be injecting certain colours into certain areas of the mould and then popping it out. But how they've got the invasion stripes on the belly of it, and they are perfect. There's no blemish looking at the picture. It's 75 quid for a pre-painted kit that you can put together. But if it's like me, where you've never finished a Mustang because it's already destroyed your mojo, it might be a...
Yeah. And it is big it's quite big for the money. So a kid or a new modeler, I don't know. There's just so many unknowns with it. We need some YouTubers to get them and do the reviews and get them built and honestly let us know what they think of it, really.
I will ask the question to my source at Albion on when it's coming in, because it's on Jadlam at the minute. They've got it down for $69.95, but when it's due to come out, I do not know.
I'm just wondering if they actually have injection molded the different colours and it's not painted afterwards, because I'm looking at the spinner hub and it's actually red, then it's yellow, then it's red.
Yeah, but they've done that brownie with tyres and stuff like that on Optimus Prime, where it's got black, silver, black. So it's the technology. Trumpeters come out with this, and it was make or break for trumpeters. So obviously they're letting other people use the technology. But if you look on the cowl, the red and yellow checkers that are on the end of the cowl going towards the spinner, they're all perfectly symmetrical and they're all crisp. They're not blurred or anything else like that. And it's quite impressive. And the silvering that they've used is actually quite nice, but it seems to be that the silver is matte.
Yeah.
Or it's possibly got a bit of a sheen. So you might have to varnish it afterwards to be able to put your decals on and then semi-gloss.
That's what I mean, yeah.
So I think they've obviously done it that way so that people can weather it and do everything. But again, could you imagine somebody putting that in at Telford in the competition?
Out of the box.
Slightly weathered. Out of the box. And it won. How many people would that absolutely blow the tops over?
It's a model.
Could you imagine the winner of the, Scale Model World 2026 is a 35th scale border P51? By the way, I've only glued it together and put a bit of weathering on it.
Little bit. By the way, I only started it in the hotel room last night.
Yeah.
Late entry.
At the services on the way up.
Oh, good grief.
No, I only asked because I saw some comments of people saying, what are they doing? That's not scale modelling. That's not what the hobby's about. And I think the blinkers are on a little bit because that would be perfect for some people and probably perfect for someone like my son. So stop being so narrow-minded, people. It is building a scale model, and it might be yet another gateway into then picking up a grey plastic kit and saying, right, I'm going to try and replicate the one that I've just built, or I'm going to build one of the other fighter group versions or something like that. But yeah, the scale was a bit weird. 35th. I don't.
I hate to be that person, but I've just noticed a mistake on the painting on the sprue. The fuselage, they've got the white bands for the D-Day stripe. The box art is black, white, black.
Yeah, it's definitely, I think that must be the prototype.
They've got them white, black, white. They've got them the other way around. There's a piece of tape with some script on the photograph that we're looking at. And whether it's actually saying prototype or not, I honestly don't know. But it's definitely the two are out of sync. Potential boo-boo, but until we actually see the finished article coming out the box, it's hard to actually say on what we're actually looking at. But yes. Oh well. With that then, Nevs.
I haven't finished.
You haven't oh, good God. Here we go.
You didn't say what I've spent.
He's been busy.
I have been busy.
Go on then, what have you spent your cash on?
So I sold some kits at the kit swap last week.
Oh yeah, how did that go?
It was all right. I think Nevs is better at explaining what I snapped off somebody for, which was a bargain price.
Yeah, you exploited her lack of wisdom. So let's put it this way, that the woman next to my stand, she comes in and she has what I can best describe as brand new, if not nearly brand new, Verifier 1 to 350th Musashi, which Dan will know the retail price of.
Oh yes, make your eyes water.
She wanted 70 quid. He then opens the box and it's got the full photo etch set and wooden deck. So he paid less than half of what it's due.
And Nebs, it had the 51 cent, yeah.
Oh yeah, it had an extra turret, didn't it?
Yeah, it had the 51 centimetre guns for the Super Yamato class.
So she was royally cheesed off, as you can imagine, that she should have put a 1 in front of that price, at least.
Right. And let me guess, Boulders actually knocked her down in price as well.
Oh, I gave her what she asked for. She asked for 70, I gave it her.
He exploited her lack of knowledge.
Shame on you.
Yeah.
I mean,
These modelers, folks, they're unscrupulous.
Listen, if you've got it for 70 quid, it's 70 quid. Simple as. That's that, basically. You know, if you put it there, I'm going to buy it.
Didn't even buy her a bacon barn to go with it to thank her.
Oh, what? Oh, yeah. Sorry, Beckham. Yeah.
yeah, I was just wondering the same, Dan.
If you haven't even haggled the price, you know you've got a bargain, ain't you?
Yeah.
Of course they have.
Of course I have. Of course I have.
Look, she took it there to sell it and she sold it. She didn't want to take it home, did she? So
She was there literally 30 seconds. I gave her the 70 quid and a lot to her. Nev said there was some bits inside.
She should have realised, because 3 of us were looking at it within 2 minutes.
bang, done. The tractor beams were on.
Oh, absolutely. I threw money at her quicker than I would do with a lap dancer.
We'll end that part of the conversation right there.
Yeah.
And move on very swiftly. Nebs, save us. What have you been working on?
Right. So, like I said in the last episode, still working away on the Sharn horse now. Sorry, Boulders, but doesn't look like it's going to make the table mat challenge. So I am going to take my time with it over the next few months. It'll definitely be making other competitions, if not Telford. So going to take my time with it. There's a lot of photo etch to put on. So I've just finished the main funnel as well. So we're getting there slowly. Like I say, I do want to take my time. And as I spoke about in episode 29, it's going to be fixed in a moment that was really important in Sharn's last few hours, which is 12:21, which is one of the most important moments when it was found, located and hit by a series of British cruisers. So it's going to have that all around the base about what happened and all of the people that lost their lives on 26th of December 43 when it was sunk. So yeah, we are getting there, and I feel like I'm trying to shut out every other model that's going, everything online, whether it's aircraft, whatever, just so that I'm in the game, just purely focusing on this Sharn horse. So there you are.
That's not good enough now, so I think you need to have a word with the competition secretary about why you're not entering your Sharn horse into the table mat challenge.
But is it not a conflict of interest? So I am going to be there impartially. If I was to try and get it ready for that meeting, it would not look, I would not be doing the subject justice. So,
No, I completely get it. Completely get it, especially with it being a fly-off kit.
but that's the thing. If this were a Revel kit, it'd be done by now. But the amount of detail is insane, and it's my first Flyhawk kit, and I've not picked a small one. You know, it's not like the cruisers I've just done, the Indianapolis or Kinugasa, where you think, oh, I can see the length of it within, I don't even need to turn my head. Whereas with this, it's just on another level of magnitude.
Okay, well, during the last episode, I seem to remember Shane coercing you, or more to the point, voluntold that you were going to give us a rundown on the history of your subject.
Yes, he did. I don't know if he's still interested or if the tanks that he's seen today has put him off.
What a place that is, by the way, the old tank museum. Crikey.
Yeah.
What a place.
Welcome to the dark side.
Oh, I tell you, that shop, it hooked me big time, but I managed to walk out without purchasing myself anything, just stuff for the kids. So done quite well, actually. But no, I'm still interested, Nevs. Absolutely. I mean, my naval history is very limited, as is some of the stuff I learned today on the armour side. But yeah, no, I think it's a really fascinating subject.
So just going back, because you actually slipped that in there, you bought stuff for the kids. So you bought them some 135th Tamiya armour. I can just see it.
Well, it is 135th, but it's not Tamiya.
That's what he's told the missus.
Yep.
It's Jacob makes his birthday in a couple of weeks, so it was a bit more than I was expecting. But he got himself a Kobe kit.
Oh yeah.
I know we're just talking a little bit there about the border models, but like the Lego style snap kit, and yeah, he really wanted it, so he picked up a 35th scale Abrams, which I heard all about today in depth from him. So I've already forewarned him, Dan. I've said to my eldest son, I said, when we go to Little Port, you must find Mr. Brazil and you can talk to him all you want about tanks because I've had my fill.
Yeah. Bless him. That's lovely, man. That's really good. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, and they loved it. But to be fair, the demonstration as well. So just a normal day out, they put a demonstration on at lunchtime. Yeah, some vintage World War II stuff.
It was a half track, wasn't it? American half track?
So half track with a quad 50 cal turret on the back.
Yeah, the M16.
Yeah, and then we had a Grant as well, M3 Grant, and then there was a Scout car as well. I can't remember the name of it, but yeah, compared to the other things that we saw, it was very quiet indeed. But no, really good, really like, amazing stories that they tell about some of the crews all the way through World War One and the Great War, should I say, and then like the evolution of the tank. It's a really interesting place. I know we've gone slightly off topic, but yeah, it is. It's a really cool place. But you'd have to fill us in on the naval side, Nevs.
Like Scharnhorst had survived, you wouldn't have fit it into anything even as big as the Tank Museum, would you? Because, what a different kettle of fish, literally. Yeah, I have visited the Tank Museum. Really interesting. I remember when I was there, the demonstration, it was a Challenger 1, and I hadn't anticipated it. They were loud anyway. How you'd hear them coming from 5 miles away. But I remember it up into my knees, it was that loud. But anyway, back onto ships. So talking about the Scharnhorst, obviously the diorama I'm building is very much about the sinking, but you can't understand how we get there without understanding where we began. And if you're looking at the design of the Scharnhorst, it's very much this transitionary moment in the evolution of what will be the Nazi German Navy from the Deutschland class of pocket battleships to obviously the full fat generation. Now, it was built in the context of an arms race. That arms race was with France, which not many people know about. They always think it'll be with the Royal Navy. It was not. The most likely opponent at the time was France. France had built the Dunkirk class, a pair of battleships in response to the Deutschland class. So Germany needed to then respond. So when they were thinking about this response, bear in mind it's in the context of the Treaty of Versailles and perhaps staying within the limits, perhaps not. In terms of getting something out quickly, it was decided to keep the 11-inch main armament of the preceding Deutschland class, although it was improved with a lot longer caliber guns. So a bit of trivia there for any modelers. If you're building either Scharnhorst or one of the Deutschland class cruisers, they are not the same barrel. So definitely check. It was a 54.5 caliber barrel on the Scharnhorst compared to the 52 on Deutschland. So they equipped them with these with the proviso that the turret barbette for these triple mounts be identical to the future 15-inch 380mm dual mounts, which we'll see on Bismarck. So the idea would be that just before war comes, which was estimated to be 1942 at the earliest, that these two ships would be refitted into essentially an equivalent to the Repulse class of battlecruisers to go up against that equivalent in the Royal Navy by then. But yeah, so moving from that design then to obviously the actions in 1943 and why Scharnhorst ends up where she is. Hitler has a bit of a tantrum at the start of the year due to a few fiascos that had happened within the surface fleet, and he orders the surface fleet to be scrapped and any of its naval guns sent to coastal defence. Tirpitz is exempt, and Scharnhorst, for whatever reason, because it's already deployed, is also left out of that. But unfortunately, it's sister Gneisenau, which is laid up in port requiring repairs. Not only does she not get the planned upgrade to the 380mm main guns, but she also is scrapped. Her turrets are sent off to Norway, and she ends up being a breakwater in Gdynia at the end of the war, which is a real tragic end for her. But that leaves Scharnhorst as the only sister left. Tirpitz and Scharnhorst then sorted together against Spitsbergen in 1943. 2 weeks after that is the famous X-Craft raid, which I know Boulders knows a lot about in terms of the midget submarines that get in through the torpedo nets. Yeah, so that relates a lot to what happens to Scharnhorst next, in that seriously damages Tirpitz, and puts her out of commission. So the only major surface warship left at the time is Scharnhorst. 19th of December, Admiral Dönitz goes to Hitler, whether it's pragmatism, whether it's about securing his own position. He says, I want permission to use major surface warships again against the Arctic convoys, which the Allies had just resumed. Hitler says, yep, go for it. So Christmas Day, they spot that this JW-55B is traveling across the Arctic. It's got about 19 merchant ships. I'll just double check my long notes. Yeah, 19 merchant ships. And it is in the Scharnhorst, is in prime position to wreak havoc on it. Unfortunately, it's being sent as bait because obviously we're reading the Germans' mail by this point, and the Admiral of the Home Fleet, Sir Bruce Fraser, was deliberately playing a game of cat and mouse, and that he was prepared to use this convoy as bait to lure the Scharnhorst out of hiding, knowing that obviously Tirpitz would not be available. So Tirpitz does sortie at 5 p.m. on Christmas Day, and then the following morning, HMS Norfolk makes contact. You can imagine it's midwinter, German radar's not perfect. They have no idea that they're detected. So this happens a couple of times where they're contacted the British cruisers via star shows, they bracket the Scharnhorst, and they're able to land a few shots. So by 12:21 is when the main radar on Scharnhorst is knocked out. So you're flying, they're sailing blind in an Arctic storm, and they've already lost their destroyer escort in this storm. So it's not looking good. It illuminates her again. The Scharnhorst is firing back, and she's able to knock out the radar on Duke of York. They're also able to damage one of the cruisers, and one of the destroyers actually takes some serious casualties from Scharnhorst's fire. So they're not, even though they're trying to get out of this chase, they're certainly firing back. Duke of York manages to get a very lucky shot out on the Scharnhorst. So that's 1824. So they've been playing this cat and mouse game for a few hours now. 1824, it lands this long-range shot. It is able to reduce the speed of Scharnhorst significantly enough for the fleet to catch up, and it'll be a very one-sided fight from now on. Obviously, the Germans aren't going to go down easily. Scharnhorst actually takes 11 torpedoes in the course of this battle, which is very significant. So she's able to take 7 torpedo hits before she finally goes down, and it is a magazine explosion which kills her. 1945 in the evening, that's when that happens, and out of a crew of 1,968 people, only 36 are pulled out of the water. So it's one of these areas where I've got to be honest, we know who the right side was in that war, but I can't excuse why the Royal Navy never sticks around for these people. They did it with Bismarck, where they said there was a U-boat threat, and they did it again with Scharnhorst and said there was a U-boat threat. Why on earth there's a U-boat threat in the dead of night? Yes, I know U-boats hunt at night, but in an Arctic storm at that time of the year, I don't buy it. So I can't excuse it. Obviously, war is war, people die, but to leave hundreds and hundreds of men in the freezing water in the dead of night, it doesn't sit right, but it happened. And, war is war. And Sir Bruce Fraser, he said afterwards, he was the Admiral and Duke of York, he was very gallant in his approach. And he said to his sailors, and I've got the quote here, he said, "I hope that if any of you are ever called upon to lead a ship into action against an opponent many times superior, you will command your ship as gallantly as Scharnhorst was commanded today." So I think that is a really good quote there for what happened to Scharnhorst in that final battle. And I'm going to make sure the quote is on the side of this base when it's finally done, to commemorate what happened to Scharnhorst on Boxing Day of 1943.
Scharnhorst flood B turret, Bruno.
So,
because did Anton get hit and then we flooded the wrong turret?
The Bruno turret was hit. They thought it was serious and would cause magazine explosion, so they did flood it prematurely at the time. Obviously, they were willfully then losing that turret. As it turned out, that hit early in the day was more or less a glancing blow, and they did not need to flood that turret. Anton was hit later on, and it was during more or less the final chase. Now, you have to bear in mind, Charnost is hit by these 11 torpedoes, and just before this magazine explosion, she'd been hit by 7 of them. One of them is seen to go in the direction under B turret. So they had flooded the magazine, but then they'd pumped the water out when they realised that it was still usable. So should they have kept it flooded? I mean, at the end, would it have made a difference? Charnos was going to go down anyway, the way that she was surrounded. Duke of York wasn't letting up. And to be fair to the Duke of York, she covers herself in glory with this. This is a big kill for the Duke of York. And that's a ship I'll be covering in the future. But yeah, I get what you mean. It is a result of a magazine explosion. It's similar to HMS Hood. There's always going to be something that gives.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, but it's that magazine explosion that really puts paid to Yamato as well.
Range killed joint with Warspite. She took out Glorious in 1940. Yards and Warspite got Julio Caesar in the Med.
Yeah. So yeah, her and Nice are now both sorted, and obviously a bit of a folly on the Royal Navy's part by allowing Glorious, just with 2 destroyers, to be out loose in the North Sea at a time when the Germans were invading Norway. So Scharnhorst has a lot of kills to her name. So just after that battle, sorted with Gneisenau in Operation Berlin, and each of them sank about 10 merchant vessels each. That's how dangerous. So if you ever watch the film Sink the Bismarck, at the very start, I know a lot of it's fictional, but the admiral that's returned to where is it? He's returned to London, isn't he? And his background is that he was one of those captains sunk by Scharnhorst and Gneisenau when Lutyens sorted with them. So it talks in that film role, he talks about how deadly Scharnhorst and Gneisenau had been. And that really is the pretext for why the Royal Navy is so desperate to get Bismarck before she can return to Brest, because you can imagine what it would have been like knowing what Scharnhorst and Gneisenau had done. If Bismarck had replicated that, it would have been very serious. So, Scharnhorst has a big legacy there.
Fascinating, Nevs. So if anyone wants to build a replica of the ship, what options have they got available to them?
So obviously we've been speaking a lot about the Flyhawk offering in 1/700th. It is probably it's the most spectacular at the moment in terms of high level detail. Now Trumpeter came out with their 101 to 350th offering at tail end of last year. That is quite big on the market at the moment. So if you want something a bit bigger, obviously you can go with the Trumpeter one. I do believe they're doing a 1/200th version as well. So if you need even bigger than 350th, you've got that. Revel have a weird offering in 570, and that's just the way Revel were in terms of wanting all the ships to be the same size, regardless of what they were in real life. So some are 600 scale, some are 720, some are 570. So you've got that offering. Airfix are just reboxing their vintage classics 1/600th Scharnhorst, but that one only depicts it right at the start of its life. So they had a bow very similar to the Graf Spee, which was, it was not flared at all. It was not the famous Atlantic clipper bow that we now associate with German ships. So if you want the more famous bow, you're going to have to go with one of the other offerings. So like I say, you've got your Trumpeter, you've got the Flyhawk. Tamiya have got one. It is a bit dated now. It's a bit long in the tooth, and it is only waterline. So that's 700th scale. But there's certainly a few options out there in different sizes.
Do a 72nd scale turret type set.
Turret as well. So if you were really fancy, you could turn that into a diorama just either as the magazine explodes or just before it. Turret in that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got me thinking now.
After the little history lesson we've been given,
I've got 2.5 pages
Sean?
on journals and half a page on what I've been spending cash on. At the club meet, I didn't buy that much. I just got a Tamiya, the A6M50 in 72nd scale. I've got one already, but I just want to do a whole squadron of them because I absolutely love the A6M5s. So I bought another of those. I have had a recent shipment in from Javis, so I have picked up the new Airfix reboxed Prince Eugen. Now, like I said in episode 22, I'm not going to do it as Prince Eugen in 600th scale, because it's weird scale anyway. I'm going to use it to build something from World of Warships, which would have been larger than the Prince Eugen. So something like Admiral Schroeder or the Runes, something like this. A fictitious paper ship, but essentially German ships, like I said in episode 22, they just take the same blueprint and then just upscale it. That's their idea of follow-on designs. So I'm going to look at playing around with that. And then I also picked up the Italeri 72nd scale MC 205 Veltro. So I've been after those for quite a while. So I just need some paints to go with it now.
Well, you'll have to start selling paints so you can actually use them yourself.
So, funnily enough, Hataka have a range that I can get hold of very easily. So, Hataka do have an Italian Air Force box set. So, it might be interesting to sample those because they do the RAF. They do the Bomber Command, they do the day fighters, night fighters, they do Luftwaffe, they do the US Navy one. Looks interesting as well. So, I might be intrigued to try the Hataka paints. I've never used them before. So, like I say, normally I do prefer the ammo range in terms of the box sets, but if we can get hold of Hataka and that they are good paints, then I'd be intrigued to try them.
Fishcop Models, elevating scale modeling to an art form. Experience highly detailed 3D printed upgrade parts that bring true authenticity to your builds. Creators of the acclaimed Rolls-Royce Merlin engine set for both the Kotari Spitfire and the Dambusters set for the Border Models Avro Lancaster. For bespoke design and printing, our service is as precise as it is personal, all at a reasonable price. Please take a look at our products on www.fishcopcompany.de. Shipping is available for all of our products worldwide.
Beyond the Box Art is brought to you by Ammo by Mig Jimenez, Fishcop Model Company, Guideline Publications, Phase Hanger Resin Accessories, and the Scale Modelers Supply. Wallets trembling, shelf space gone, excellent. Here comes the latest wave of irresistible plastic temptation in the Stash Inflation Report.
Right then, Benchmates, if the stash shelves weren't already creaking loudly enough, this week's aviation announcements are here to finish the job properly. Starting over in the Czech Republic, KP are throwing absolutely everything at aircraft models this month. In 72nd scale, we're getting 3 new boxings of the Piper PA-28 Cherokee 140, covering markings from Yugoslavia, the US, Czech Republic, the UK, Greece, Hungary, Poland, West Germany, Switzerland and Slovakia, which frankly means at least one of those is going to end up accidentally in the stash. Moving up to 48th scale, KP are also prepping brand new Pilatus trainers, including the PC9AM, the PC9B/M, and the PC7MKX, all featuring 3D printed parts and masks. The 72nd range continues with the Lavochin LA5 Valeri, and the Supermarine Spitfire Mark 9 early converted aircraft boxing, Hawker Tempest F6, and the Culver PQ-14 Cadet. Meanwhile, Cora models appear to be leaning heavily into civil aviation, with new tool Letov releases including the S239, the S139, and the S39, all featuring 3D printed engine parts. AZ Model are adding a camouflage Hispano Bouchon in 72nd with canopy masks, while Clear Prop continue their superb run of releases with the OV-1B Mohawk variants and a very attractive DH-88 Comet Advanced Kit. Over at Armour Hobby, Yak fans are being treated to 2 limited edition Yak 1B releases, Allied Services and Russian Aces, while AA models are heading into the modern era with the XB1 Baby Boom demonstrator. Solver M continue in their 1 to 144th scale with a Royal Navy Phantom FG1 and the mighty C123 provider. And then there's Edward, because apparently none of us were financially stable enough already. The July lineup includes a limited edition 1 to 48th PBY-5A Catalina loaded with resin, masks, photo etch and decals, alongside the MiG-21R and the Avia S99 limited editions in 1/72, plus a very tempting 1/48 P51B Malcolm Hood Weekend Edition. Lucrograph are rounding things off with a Yokosuka E149 Glen in both 32nd and 48 scale. And finally, just when the wallets thought it was safe, Kinetic Model Kits have announced Kit 48180, the Mirage 2005F Ukrainian Air Force boxing. Honestly, Benchmates, trainers, racers, reconnaissance aircraft, flying boats, Cold War icons, and modern jets. This week's Stash Inflation report feels less like a hobby update and more like a coordinated financial attack. Right, before I accidentally buy another Catalina, handing over to Dan for the AFVs.
Cheers, Boulders. And yes, somehow the armour welders also collectively decided that savings accounts are overrated. Starting with the Bodhi, who have announced a beautifully sculpted 135th German Luftwaffe Airman in Afrika Korps uniform. The figure has been sculpted by Stefano Il Libanese Di Antonio with box art painted by Enrico Sigursa. It honestly looks absolutely superb. The product code is TB35235, so check it out. Over at Seoul Resin Factory, there are two new additions arriving. First is a 1/16 scale Second World War German anti-aircraft MG34 with Patronentrommel 34 ammunition drum, while modern armour builders are also getting weighted wheels and track upgrades for the AVF Club M16 MGMC. Meanwhile, Ryefield Model have announced a clear edition of the M4A376WHV SS Sherman with full interior. An interesting idea. I just hope that clear moulded top is absolutely flawless and now allows for proper viewing of that interior you are definitely going to need to paint. And finally, Panzerwerk Design are preparing several new track sets, hopefully landing this month, including Valentine, Archer and Bishop variants, including Eastern Front Ice Cleat version, alongside tracks for the Gecko Matilda Mark I, the AMX50 and the Trumpeter E25. So yes, AFV modelers are once again being financially assaulted, one individual trank link at a time. Right, before someone releases another full-hull Panther, I'm going to hand over to Nevs for the nautical news.
Cheers, Dan. First up, the Ukrainian brand Spara, who we've talked about before on the pod. They are releasing two more upgrade sets for the Bismarck in 1/350th scale. These include the twin 37mm SK caliber 30 anti-aircraft guns and the single mount 20mm caliber 30 guns. They're all beautifully printed and ideal for anyone wanting to drag an old Kriegsmarine Shelf Queen kicking and screaming into the modern age. Next up, Torii Factory are releasing another 16th century Japanese sailing ship in 1/350th scale. This time the flagship Atakebune. This appears to be a fully 3D printed kit with multiple build options, including the distinctive iron ram on the bow. Pre-orders are already open, with release expected in August. And now for something completely different. D&L Models have announced a US Navy PCF Swiftboat in 1/35th scale. Details are still fairly limited at the moment, but we do know it'll feature the twin 50 caliber rear mount along with an onboard mortar, which should make Vietnam era modelers very happy indeed. Right then, Benchmates, that was a short one for this week. And before someone releases the HMS Belfast with a full interior and lighting kit, I'll hand over to Shane for the Gundam and sci-fi side of the hobby.
Cheers, Nevs. And yes, Benchmates, the mecha world is continuing its relentless mission to destroy available display space everywhere, starting with Bandai Spirits and the new Gundam Artifact Pro series, including FA78 and Zaku 2. This is essentially the premium evolution of the Artifact line, standing at around 10 centimeters tall, with key internal sections pre-assembled, meaning less frustration and more time making tiny robots look aggressively heroic. Release is expected in November at around £35. Meanwhile, Kotobukiya are releasing their 1/72nd Crest CR C98 E2 assault type from Armoured Core 3. This thing is loaded, deployable thruster hatches, missile pods, energy blades, and enough angular armoured plating to look like it can personally bankrupt a paint manufacturer. That lands in October at £35 as well. Over to Premium Bandai, we've got the MG 1100 Gundam Mark V Earth Federation Forces Colours Edition. Essentially, this takes the already excellent master grade mould and swaps the dark blue Rebel colours for the original grey and white Federation rollout scheme. Complete with new water slide decals. Expected in October, and at this one is £45. Then there's absolutely enormous inclusion from Fusion 1100 scale Meteor. This beast stands 23 centimeters tall, 44 centimeter wingspan, 89 points of articulation, working gears, sliding hydraulic rods, and enough engineering complexity to qualify for its own maintenance contract. That one is apparently imminent and coming in at £55. And finally, Motor Nuclear are releasing the MNP Diane Way kit, featuring a full die-cast inner frame. Inspired by the legendary Three Kingdoms General, this thing looks less like a mobile suit and more like it can punch directly through a small moon. That lands in November at £45. So there you go, Benchmates. Whether it's tanks, aircraft, ship, or giant robots, none of our wallets are safe this week. Right then, we're going to take a very quick break and hear from some of our absolutely amazing sponsors here on Beyond the Box Art. And when we come back, it's our fantastic discussion all the way from Australia with Sam Dwyer, Scott Taylor from the Scale Modeler Supply, celebrating the 10th anniversary, and John Marley from the brilliant new charity, Piece by Piece.
Do you want cutting-edge detail for your kits? Then take a look at Phase Hanger Resin Accessories, run by USAF veteran Mike Reeves. With real-world aircraft experience as a crew chief, Mike knows exactly where accuracy counts. And today, he's bringing that knowledge to life with precision 3D printed parts. From seamless intakes and nozzles to dropped flaps, pods, pylons, and cockpit upgrades, Phase Hanger's prints capture the crisp edges and fine detail that limitations in injection molding just can't reproduce. From 1/72nd to 1/32nd scale, you'll find add-ons from Cold War classics to the latest frontline jets with frequent new additions to the product range. Every piece is designed by modelers, for modelers, and faithfully reproduced on state-of-the-art printers and shipped worldwide, and are ready to drop straight into your next build. With additions to the product line landing all the time, there's always something fresh to elevate your next build. Explore the full range at phasehangerresin.com and follow Phase Hanger on Facebook and Instagram for regular updates and inspiration. Phase Hanger Resin Accessories, authentic detail designed with a veteran's eye and available to modelers everywhere. Phase Hanger is a proud sponsor of the Beyond the Box Art podcast.
Head to beyondtheboxart.com for host bios, guest features, and direct links to all our social channels. Your central hub for staying connected. Welcome to IPMS Dispatches, bringing you society news, upcoming events, and a friendly spotlight on branches and special interest groups across the IPMS community.
So, another IPMS Dispatches, and this time we are joined by IPMS West Norfolk with Daniel O'Grady. Daniel, welcome.
Good evening, Brownie. Yeah, great to be on the channel.
And I'm feeling outnumbered here because we've now got another Dan on the recording for the IPMS Dispatches for a rare occurrence which is your branch, Dan?
Certainly is, mate. Yeah.
There we go. So, Daniel, what can you tell us about the branch then? When was it formed?
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah. Well, so long before my time, about 2002, set up by a handful of guys, I believe, at a workman's club in Kings Lynn. And since then, I joined in 2016. Which then it moved to its current location.
Which is?
William Burt Social Club in West Winch, just outside Kings Lynn.
Okay, and the all-important postcode for people to find it?
PE33 OJY.
Papa Echo
33 OJY.
Juliet Yankee. The branch has been running for some time. How many do you normally get on a club night?
Oh, so when I first started in 2016, there was probably 15, 16 members. And that has doubled in the last 10 years. So we're just over 30 members now. I think 31, 32, which is really great for the club. It suffered, I think, like quite a lot of clubs did during COVID, because it's very much about connecting with people and being face to face and being able to have that banter and chit chat about all things scale modelling and all things not scale modelling as well. But I think after that, possibly due to COVID, people found their roots again in the hobby, and we had, a lot more members coming in, especially after 2022. We just seem to have really kicked off with, an extra 10 members or so in the last, say, 3-4 years, which never happened before. Yeah, and we've got a lot of young guys coming in now as well, which is great to see, because they're the ones that are going to be carrying on the hobby. So it's trying to get those involved where we can. Okay,
so what are you using as the enticement for the youngers? Are you looking at Gundam, or are you looking at SnapFit?
Oh, everything. I want our club to be a friendly club. We've always kind of been known as the friendly club. People come in, we don't have build nights per se, but we still have competitions. We have show and tell nights. You bring your models in, even work in progress. Bring those in, tell people all about it, what you've done or what you haven't done, what you've enjoyed, what you haven't enjoyed. And it's in a social club, so you can do that over a beer or an orange juice, whatever takes your fancy. It's just trying to be a friendly club where people can come in, not be judged. Doesn't matter what level you're at. We do try and encourage the younger ones to come in. At our show, we still have the make and paint, just to try and encourage the families to come with their little ones and just get faces away from screens and try and be creative. So that's kind of the way that we see ourselves. It's just trying to be the friendly club.
Gotcha. And you mentioned your annual show, and apologies for being somewhat late to the table on this one, but it's only in a couple of weeks' time after this episode drops on the 4th of June. So 14th of June, when and where? Give us all the details.
Yeah, so Sunday the 14th of June, West Anglia Scale Model Show. It was known as just the West Norfolk show. It had its days at the Downham Market Village Hall. Things went awry there. And then since post-COVID, we're now at Littleport Leisure Centre, albeit it's in Cambridgeshire. But it was the only venue that we could really find who were supportive enough and helpful enough to be able for us to put the show on without having a massive expense, because they're a charity and we do our shows on behalf of charities. So it helped them as much as it helped us to have the show on, to have people in there. So we've been doing that now. This is our 5th year. It's been going from strength to strength. It's at Littleport Leisure Centre in Littleport near Ely, TB6 1EW, and it's usually warm. Hopefully it's not going to be as warm as this, but if history has anything to say, it's going to be a warm one again, but we'll see how that goes.
Fingers crossed. On the day of recording, it's actually the hottest May day ever recorded in the UK, which we've hit 35.1 at Kew Gardens, I believe, today.
That's right, yeah.
Which is ridiculous for this time of year, but yes. So have you got any refreshments or anything at the event?
Yeah, so we've got a open bar. We've got caterers there doing hot and cold food, free parking, free Wi-Fi, plenty of parking as well. We've got a tombola on. We've got about 19 traders and 50 clubs at the moment, which...
That's not bad.
No, it's a decent sized show. It's all on one level, plenty of disabled access. It's across 2 halls, and we've got, a lot of people's favourite traders there, so come along and do your shopping.
Oh, fantastic. And what is the entrance price?
It's £5 for adults, and under 16s free.
Okay, that's pretty reasonable. And do you make Dan pay as well? Personally, I charge him double.
We try, but he runs off when you try to grab him, so...
I certainly try running off when we got to load them 500 tables when it's 40 degrees inside.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's we have the show on the Sunday, but of course we still have to set it up. So it's a real kind of community getting together. We have tables come from the parish council, which they don't charge us for. We have tables from the village hall. We have tables from the local churches. And together we manage to put it all on with very minimal cost. And we do all of that on the Saturday evening before the show.
Okay. And do you have much of a team that actually turns out to help, or is it the normal contenders?
No, we make a point of saying, look, this is your show, is in the club. Mm-hmm. If they want to have the show, then they need to put in the effort and at least help. And pretty much everybody usually gets involved, from set up on the Saturday to giving jobs out on the Sunday for doing any judging or running the make and take or running the tombola. So everybody gets involved.
So you said judging, so you obviously got a competition there as well?
Yeah, we have a competition. We don't have a separate room for it. It's just across all tables throughout the show. So everything's judged. And we have aviation, maritime, armour, civilian vehicles, figures, sci-fi. I don't know if there's a miscellaneous.
We also have a junior as well, don't we?
That's right. Yeah, we do have a junior. Again, trying to get the young ones in. We don't tend to get a lot of junior entrants, but it's worth to keep going on because hopefully some of those ones that have been too young in the past will come up and think, oh, I'm going to enter that now.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So going back to the club, do you have any activities during the year, either trips out or do you have themed competitions rolling through the year?
We do, yeah. We have a Christmas competition. Well, we have 3 competitions through the year. We have a Christmas, an Easter, and then a midsummer competition. And then just recently, we've tried to do the branch champion thing for the nationals. So at the end of the year, towards October, we'll then vote for the best of the best, if you like, the best model out of all of those 3 winners to take to Telford. And apart from that, yeah, we have meals out as a club. We put days on for the club at the local social club that we're in, at the West Winch Social Club. Not this coming weekend, but the weekend after, we're also supporting the Little Port Leisure Fun Day, which has got everything and anything there, from kids' activities to a dog show to classic cars to face painting, all that kind of stuff. So we're putting on a small display, but we'll also take the make and take. So again, it's trying to get the kids down just to have a go and get involved.
So where do you get the kits to the make and take?
Usually donated, either from ourselves or from other kind people. I've tried approaching the likes of those who I won't name, but unsuccessfully. We're not a Cub Scout organisation or Girl Guides or anything like that, and they don't tend to do specific projects for just a make and take. So yeah, a lot of our stuff tends to be donated either by club members or people that just want to donate to us.
Okay, so this is probably going to answer 2 questions in one here. Your social media and your online presence would be the same address, I guess, for any people that want to donate kits for the make and take at the same time?
Yeah.
So what is your social media presence?
Social media, we have a Facebook page for IPMS West Norfolk. That's probably the best page to contact us through, just Facebook messengers through that. Alternatively, we've also got a show page for the West Anglia Scale Model Show on Facebook. So you can message through that as well. We also have an Instagram page for the show. So yeah, there's a few options there.
Okay. And it's the same method of contact then for anyone who wants to actually join the club then?
To join the club, you can get in touch with our club secretary. His name's Steve Gregory, and his email address is Steve, Steve, Gregory, Gregory 8026 @gmail.com.
Cool. Okay.
I was just going to say, one of the things we did introduce was the quiz night. And it's a good way for clubs and groups out there that if you do support a local charity, it's a nice way to break up the off evenings where you've maybe not got a competition, and if you've got 3 or 4 normal club nights in a row, if you chuck a quiz night in there, and I'm sure that there are plenty of budding quiz masters in a lot of model clubs out there, it's great because you can include subjects on questions that everyone in the club will know, and there'll be other stuff in there that only certain people will know, and it's good fun. And I was really impressed when we introduced that. It's just a different thing to do. Yeah,
it was a good idea. And I think as well, in our club we do have a number of ex-forces personnel ex-navigators and flight photographers and things like that. So, I mean, it was only the last meeting, one of the chaps, he was in Kabul, I think around 2005. So he brought in all his slides from his trip. He was with PRU, so he was on Canberra's for 39 Squadron. So that was quite nice, showing us all around his digs and what he was up to on the airfield. And yeah, like Dan said, it's just something like that. Occasionally we can break up some club evenings that we don't have anything down.
Okay, so just to recap then, where is it you meet?
So it's the William Burt Social Club in West Winch near Kings Lynn.
Okay, and how many times a month do you meet? Is it once or twice?
2 times a month, so it's the first and third Wednesday of each month.
And it starts at?
It's 7:30 until around 9:30-ish.
Or until the bar goes empty?
Exactly, yeah.
Gotcha. Especially if Dan's there, we know what he's like.
Well, yeah, he is usually one of the last ones to leave with myself and a couple of others, to be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we usually hang around putting the world to rights.
That's right, yeah.
And Dan did tell me the other evening that he really enjoyed the Secret Santa that you do at Christmas, and make sure any future ones he gets modern day jet aircraft, 'cause he really enjoys those.
Well, again, the Secret Santa, I think I started that up 3 or 4 years ago now. I think it was our 4th time this year. And again, it's just a bit of fun, get people out of their comfort zone, and do stress to people if they want to take part that this isn't a kit that you just want to get rid of that's missing half of the box. It needs to be something that's still bagged, unopened. It's supposed to be a gift at the end of the day. But yeah, it's just a good bit of fun.
Thanks for that, Crusader, whoever gave that to me.
Yeah, but you enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's looking at me on the shelf with contempt.
Make sure you bring that to Telford with you.
Oh, I'm not. That's not going anywhere near a model show or a display. That's staying firmly up there and collecting dust. The more of it, the better.
If only you could do what armour builders do and just cover it in mud.
Oh, that's going to set them going. Please note that was IPMS West Norfolk and not Beyond the Box Art. So, I take it you're going to be at Telford with the stand this year?
Yeah, you will be at Telford. Yeah.
Okay, and do you have a theme?
Not really a theme. We tend to, I think it's something we've always done just because of the number of ex-forces people that we have, is because it's on Remembrance Weekend. We tend to maybe just have a central display on the table of appropriate. One of the guys, he's made a bowing soldier just out of pieces of sprue that stands about 30 centimetres or so high, with a couple of poppies around it. There was another member that did a DC-3 that he sprayed white, and then he made poppy decals for it and put those all over it, which was really cool. Yeah, just something a little bit different that just marks the weekend.
Well, and very appropriate it is too. Daniel, thank you very much for your time. Much appreciated. Look forward to catching up with you at Telford.
Likewise, Brownie. Thank you very much for having me on.
You're very welcome. And we'll speak to you again soon.
Indeed. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Chairman.
There's always one, isn't there? There's always one.
Are you looking for top quality paints for your next project? Then look no further than the Scale Modeler Supply. Hi, I'm Scott, and as a passionate modeler myself, I've spent years creating the SMS product range, designing them specifically with a scale modeler in mind. We've worked extensively to develop our acrylic lacquer paint range to not only be airbrush ready straight out of the bottle, but also to be very easy to use so that anyone of any skill level can create professional results with minimal effort. Just give the bottle a good shake, pour into your airbrush and spray at 15 psi. So dive into your next project with confidence, knowing that you're backed by one of the finest hobby paints on the market. Head over to our website scalemodeler.com.au to check out our full range and to find your closest retailer.
Please visit modelpodcast.com, because finding great modelling shows shouldn't be harder than masking a canopy. One website with all the best pods. And now, our featured interview. Conversations with the people shaping the hobby, from individual modelers to leading manufacturers, exploring every aspect of scale modelling together.
Right then, joining us for this episode is the one and only Sam Dwyer, one of Australia's most recognisable and enthusiastic voices in the scale AFV scene, who has recently seen the light and moved from targets to aircraft. We're also joined by a person who spent the last decade helping modelers empty their wallets in the very best way possible, Scott Taylor from the Scale Modelers Supply. As the company celebrates its incredible 10th anniversary this year on the 6th of June, 2 days after this episode drops. But that's not all. Also joining the chat is John Marley, winner of the 48 in 48 auction in Oceania, to come onto the show, and we'll be talking about the brand new Australian initiative Piece by Piece, a charity using scale modelling, creativity and community to support well-being and bringing people together through the hobby we all love. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
G'day. Good to see you.
Okay, let's start off with a brief introduction from each of you. So we'll start with Sam. If you can give us a brief rundown for our audience that haven't heard of you, and if not, why not?
Well, why would they have heard of me? I'm just some guy in Melbourne. So yeah, long time modeler, usual routine. Started modeling with my dad back when I was 5 or 6 or something like that. It might have been a Matchbox Lancaster or Matchbox Wellington, something horrible. I'm sorry for all the Matchbox fans. And yeah, never looked back basically. So I've been doing it for however long since then. So can't add up the years, it's too long. But yeah, so, and as you mentioned, just relatively, well, not relatively recently, but taking a bit of a hiatus from armour to a certain extent to build aircraft, and foolishly, fashionably late to getting into wing nut wings stuff. And it's just absurd. I should have bought them when they were available retail, but I want to build World War I aircraft and stuff. Now I want to, so that's where I am.
So you've taken up knitting as well, also known as rigging.
Yeah. I got to say, I built one last year, and it was the hardest thing I've ever done. It was the Albatross, and a lovely model, but the rigging really tested my eyes and my tweezer work. So yeah, running 2 sets of tweezers, rigging stuff is just mental. So, but it's great. It's worthwhile, but it's hard work.
Okay, well, moving on to a person who can sell you those tweezers, Scott.
Amongst other things, how are you guys?
We're good, thanks. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad at all.
Fantastic. Well, obviously, SMS hitting 10th anniversary. You were on the show a little while ago talking about the business in the past. We'll come on to what you're up to at the moment, but you look dressed for winter over there. We're just in T-shirts up here. This doesn't look right.
Yeah, because it is winter in Australia just about. We've had a big cold snap in the last week, so winter's truly here for us. I don't know about John, because John's up a bit north than Sammy and I, but we're in Victoria, so it's pretty cold down our way. So,
and you are in the coldest place in Australia too. Ballarat is the coldest place on earth.
Pretty much. Between Ballarat and Canberra, they're the 2 coldest places in the country at the moment.
When you say cold, what temperature are we looking at?
At the moment, it's a brisk 10 degrees. Which is not too bad for this time of night.
That's a summer's day for us.
That's it. But during the week, it was only got to about 5 or 6 degrees. I think it was on Wednesday, so it's been very, very fresh.
Okay. Moving on to John.
Yeah, g'day. All right, I just checked. I'm just north of Newcastle, which is about 170 k's north of Sydney. And I just checked, it's 11.8 degrees here. Feels like 11.7, so it's good. But I have a light jumper on just so Scott and Sam don't feel too off-putting or off. Yeah.
I don't know what your problems are. I'm wearing a T-shirt. Love to hear in Melbourne.
So my background is, like Sam, I started modelling, and my father got us all into it. I have 6 kids in the family, 4 boys, and we were all doing the Matchbox kits because they were available at the end of our street when I was growing up in southeast Melbourne. And it never really stopped. Like, you found girls and all that stuff, but because I was no good at that, I stuck with modelling, and I'm still doing it. Just love it. And the last build was a World War I aircraft, so loving the rigging, but it's challenging, but it's a lot of fun and very rewarding.
Okay, so Scott, why aren't you in the World War I party then?
Because I'm a bit younger than you blokes.
Great.
Oh, right, it's going to be one of those, is it? Right, okay, gloves are off.
No, my background with modelling is just I had model trains and stuff when I was a little kid, and I had those for a little while, got into Lego, those sorts of things the general kids in the 80s grew up with, and then moved into model kits on and off during the teenage years, but then it was in my mid-20s when I watched a lot of anime, and that's where I found Gundam, which got me into Gunpla, and that's got me into modelling from there. And since then, I've been doing Gundams, I've been doing tanks, I've been doing cars, I've been doing planes, I've been doing everything, including, as everyone knows, my favourite subject, dinosaurs.
Who did that really rubbish impression? Oh, yeah, it had to be Boulders, didn't it? Yeah. Okay, then. Let's get into it then. So let's start off with Sam. Rumour has it that the number of high-quality 132nd tooled kits hitting the market in the past 12 months is you've been basically solely keeping Proper Plane, Aircraft in Pixels, BNA Model World and Gas Patch in business. So how much have you spent? Because it'd be really sad and bad to keep a spreadsheet of your exact spending.
Look, it feels like, and I don't want to stew it, that someone's been talking. I do keep a spreadsheet because that's who I am as a person, and it's not pretty. It's not pretty. It's a lot. And I don't know that this is a safe enough space for me to say how much it is, but it's a lot. Yeah. Look, it's one of those things, and I did it with my armor kits as well. It's like, well, if there's something available aftermarket for a kit, I can't not buy it. I can't not get it. So, and that's unfortunately it's the same with aircraft. So yeah, it's bad with wing that wing stuff because there's a lot available. So, and wooden props that are hand whittled are incredible. So they're so much better than the kit parts, and they're absurdly expensive. But like, it's money, you can't take it with you. So yeah, I've been really bad.
So you've gone for some of those laminated wooden props.
Yeah.
Well, who was the manufacturer for those?
Proper Plane. So they're out of Ukraine. And it's a twofold thing. It's supporting a small business and a Ukrainian small business for all of those reasons. And yeah, the product is top notch. It's incredibly high quality stuff. So it's a bit of a no brainer. And it really lifts the model as well. Like not just the propellers, all the other stuff that Proper Plane do really it's exquisite stuff, beautifully designed, and all the 3D printed stuff is beautifully printed and no print lines and that stuff. So, and same with Aircraft in Pixels. Yeah. Oof. Yeah, and BNA, wow, it's just, I know we all should be supporting bricks and mortar stores, but it's pretty hard to go past BNA for their range and their service. They're about 20 kilometres from my place, so yeah, I get stuff next day from BNA. Bad.
Really so. Dan.
Sam, just circling back to those props. Hey. So they're real wood?
Yeah, they are. Yep.
Do they come in there's nothing on them? Do you have to put a varnish on them, and then will they take weathering? Because this is new to me. I have no idea about these things.
There is quite the rabbit hole over at the Proper Plane website, believe me. It's a beautiful, and look, I'm sorry, it sounds like a infomercial for Proper Plane, but their website is stunning, and you can search via plane. So just say you bought yourself a Sop with Camel, you can search for Sop with Camel, and literally the website throws up everything that they make that's available for Sop with Camel. So, for example, it's bloody awesome. So yeah, so the propellers are hand whittled, so they are glued together from thin sheets of basswood, I think it might be, very, very thin.
Right.
And varying colors, so you get that really lovely laminated effect, and beautifully varnished. They're like a satin varnish to them.
Ah, okay.
Ready to take the little axial, if you're building a German aircraft, the axial decal, and then just I satined over the top of the decal, and it just disappears into the finish, and it looks fantastic.
And do they fit in? Do they come with the hub, or do they go into the kit hub?
Yeah, so I've only used, I've got a lot of them, but I've only used I've got one here. I've only used what's that aircraft I built? Why do I have a mental blank when I'm talking about Albatross? That's the one I'm looking for, Albatross.
Ah, okay.
And yeah, and so it's slotted straight onto the boss of the Daimler-Benz engine at the front, and then the cowling went over the front of that. Yeah, there you go. You can see it there. The spinner thing goes over the front. So, and the ones that go on radial aircraft, there you go, like that one, radial one there. You just get a 3D printed hub that goes over the top thing. So they are exquisite. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Obviously, for our audience who can't see this, I've just shared the Proper Plane website to the guys, and the quality is ridiculous.
Yeah, it really is.
I can see what you mean.
Yeah, and once you go down that rabbit hole, you're done. But having said that, I've got a lot planned. I've got a dozen or so kits, and whilst I've got some that I've loaded up with aftermarket for, I really want to explore not using aftermarket on some. Because you may or may not know, I've started a YouTube channel, and I kind of want to cater for lots of different areas thing, and doing stuff out of box and using paint and weathering stuff to really highlight the kit's parts and not use aftermarket is something I want to do as well. So yeah, I will use the kit props and teach myself how to paint laminated propellers.
Yeah, because wood grain on a panel is a hard enough job as it is I use artist oils and then drag the brush across and keep manipulating it. But trying to do different multicolored laminated wood grain on a propeller is probably the hardest thing, because you need to have masked demarcation lines, and if you're using oils they take forever to dry, and you don't want to put a tape straight on the top of oil paint because you just end up ripping it all off, won't you?
You do oils last is the trick.
Yeah
So you paint your acrylics first. You airbrush the prop buff type color, or like a light sandy brown color, and then paint on your darker lamination colors thing. You use a grey lead pencil laying flat on the desk and move the propeller around, and that gives you your waterline of where your next shade is to be thing. And then brush paint your darker colors on, and then they do the oils after you do the acrylic. So you're basically simulating that wood grain effect the other way around on top of the layers thing. So you're not waiting for that oil to dry.
Yeah, there is a reason for me asking. I've got the only First World War era kit that I've got in 32nd is the Copper State Newport 2021 or 22. So that is, I want to get stuck into it this year. I mean, it'll probably be a bit of a slow burner because I've got loads of other 32nd scale stuff that's in the queue before that. But
don't we all?
Yeah, but it is something I need to get to grips with, and we're very lucky to, and obviously Shane knows that we're near a museum that's called the Shuttleworth Collection, and
lucky.
They're all there and real and got drip trays under them, and they bring them out for the air shows and can't fly some of them when it's too windy because they'll end up in the next county. And
yeah, brilliant.
I was a big advocate of getting to museums, particularly seeing flying aircraft as well, because again, you get to see where they leak oil like you wouldn't believe. It's unbelievable. It's just fantastic. Go on, Shane.
But the good news about that oil, it's castor oil, and all the pilots have fantastic skin complexion.
Yeah.
And here we go, empty bowels.
Oh, really?
Because the castor oil would encourage throughput.
Keep you regular, is it?
Yeah. Keep very regular. Not great at 3,000 feet, but there.
No.
Well, they've been busy this morning because I'm on the flight path for Old Warden. We're only like a couple of miles outside, and there's this weekend that we're recording. They've got the first air show weekend, and yeah, it's been very busy overhead, which has been quite cool. And in about an hour or so's time, we're heading off to Duxford for their shakedown flying day as well.
Oh, right. Don't rub it in, blimey.
Yeah, exactly. The last time I attended Euromilitaire at Folkestone, which was 2014, there's a little private museum, Bella Britain Museum, just nearby in Folkestone. And
Hawkinge.
There you go. The one where they take your mobile phone off you so you can't photograph the exhibits. Really weird. And we were literally about to walk into the museum and 2 Spitfires flew overhead. And the earth moved. It was incredible. And that looked full noise as well. Really, they're really hooking along. And it was, really impressive.
Yeah, I tell you, if your mojo's struggling on the modelling front, just go and see him in action, and that will really give you some motivation to crack through a few in the stash, that's for sure.
So going back to Sam's World War I subjects, Scott, do you do a range of lozenge colours or similar to actually keep him employed with masking?
No, unfortunately, because as everyone knows, there's not really any good reference material for the old World War I stuff. It's so open into your personal interpretation that, it's difficult to say, to release a colour and say it's the colour for World War I.
Definitive colour, yeah.
We have the basic colours. We have the basic colours available, so you can mix and match to your heart's content to get the right shade you want.
I was in Canada a little while ago, and it was a collector who's restoring some World War I aircraft to flying condition, and he had a roll of lozenge painted Irish linen, an original roll, and the colours had faded a little bit, but a lot of people think that the lozenge was actually painted onto the fabric, but it was actually printed almost in the same way that wallpaper was. So it came out of the factory ready printed.
Yeah, and you also got to factor in with that stuff that the inks they use for printing as well with the paint, that'll soak into these fabrics, and you'll end up losing the colour as well. So what was the original colour they've used is going to be faded several times over before it even leaves their factory back in.
And then they were doped. and they were doped. And then they put stains on them to help seal them and stuff as well. So they just, all over the place. Look, to be perfectly honest, I think masking and painting lozenge is the pathway to madness. Kudos if you can do it, but it's like, that's why God invented Aviatic decals. So Aviatic make the most beautiful linen fabric decals that are just stunning. They really are. Lean over. Not for the viewers, because I know this is a audio medium, but they're Aviatic D7 decals. They are incredible. And you actually see the stitching and the fabric weave in the decals. They're bloody awesome.
Okay, so how well do they adhere for weathering and post-treatment?
Yes, yep. So I use them on the wings of my Albatross, and they're great. So I did have a tiny bit of lift just due to handling. Always handling the wings. And I just sealed them in with, because it was blue rib tapes on it, I sealed them in with Vallejo, just a matte blue. And it helped glue it down. It was fine. Just little tiny sections where it would lift. And then it looks like you painted on the rib tapes anyway. So, yeah, it was pretty good. Yep.
So, John, is this giving you inspiration for your World War I subject?
Yeah, I'm just hanging in the background. I just want to keep modelling, but no, it's all good. Yeah, I've been thinking about maybe I should get into Scott, because I don't think we need much in the way of World War I colours, but certainly like the PC colours. I don't even know what PC stands for, whether paint code or paint chip or no idea. But there's something basically. I think the best reference you can do. I mean, obviously everyone knows that Wingnut Wings do a lot of research into their kits and their paints and all that stuff like that. So if I'm building, say, an Edward biplane, I'll jump on
protective coating.
Yeah, protective coating. I'll jump across to the Wingnut Wings website and see what they've used for, say, I did a Bristol fighter recently. So just what do they recommend for top and bottom, and use that. It can't go wrong, really. It looks good to my eye. But no, I'm not going to paint lozenge. That's what decals are for.
Oh dear. Okay, and Sam's obviously now he's moved away from that and working on a Mung Fokker DR1, I believe.
Oh, really? This is coming out when? Wasn't necessarily for public consumption as yet, because it's going to be from a YouTube channel. But yes, I am working on a Mengnut Wings Fokker DR1. So, hey, Stuart.
Mengnut Wings.
Mengnut Wings, yeah.
Yes, it is Stuart. Rolf from Black Hat, who's been feeding me a little bit of inspiration in the background. This isn't going out to the 4th of June.
I'm not telling him another thing. No, it's fine. It's fine. It's not a secret. I like to drop stuff when it drops, but I should have an episode out before then. So yeah, it's an interesting kit. It is definitely a test shot. So as we know, Wingnut Wings ceased training just at the start of COVID, and Meng, however, it came to be released to Fokkers, the 24 scale kit, which was due to be Wingnut Wings' first DR1 kit release. Was 24 scale. So it was production ready. So it's a vastly superior kit than the 32nd scale one. 32nd scale one is a test shot that Meng just put into production. So it needs a lot more development. And I know Richard Alexander at Qatar, obviously now Qatar puts a lot of work in the development stages and that stuff. And there were definitely incremental changes between test shots of their things. This is definitely a test shot, because it's I think the term rough as Hessian undies. It is pretty rough, so still can be polished up pretty nice. So yeah, I was hoping to get the fuselage together today, but Mother's Day or pre-Mother's Day stuff got on the way today, so maybe tomorrow.
Fair enough. Okay, Scott, you've obviously sat there listening to all this wonderful stuff going on from the historic past. Obviously, 10 years of production and development of the business. What have you got coming out in the near future that's going to be completely in their ballpark and actually involving Mecha?
Well, it's probably not the colours for you guys, but yeah, we're releasing a 10 colour set to begin with, of colours that are matched to Mobile Suit Gundam. So they're obviously called Mecha because of licensing reasons. We haven't been able to secure license because it's one of those things we can't actually do, so we're calling it Mecha colours. But everything is matched to the RX-78 Gundam, the MS-06 to Zaku 2 Suzabi, and the Shah's version. So the commander units, this is a long time coming for us. As I said before at the start of the episode here, that's how I got into modelling, was building Gundam. That's what I was known for before. I was doing all the paint stuff. I've used to be heavily involved in the Gundam community in Australia. I used to be involved in the big competitions, the Gundam Builders World Cup, which I actually won in 2013 and went to Japan with my entry and entered the GBWC over there. So This is when we first started out with SMS, I didn't want to start with the stuff I was known for. I wanted to start afresh and build up the company from scratch and not rely on my reputation beforehand, if you can understand that. So I wanted to build up the brand as a modelling brand, not as a Gundam brand, which is what it would have been lumped into if I'd started with what we're going to start with now. So after 10 years, we're returning back to what got me into modelling, and we're releasing 12 new colours that are accurately matched to the Bandai model kits.
I was going to say, Scott, like, if you'd started off with Mecha, that would have no problem for me, that. But it's 10 years well worth the wait. I'm looking forward to seeing what these are going to be like, to be fair.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been putting a few videos and photos up on our social media pages in the last few weeks. I did a gun cannon and Gundam. I've done a Zaku. I've got a Shah's version of his Galgoog that I've done as well, that I've painted in these new colours as test subjects to make sure they're accurately matched. And so far, everyone's pretty happy. Everyone seems to be pretty happy with what we've done. So, yeah, I'm expecting good things from this range.
So, Scott, how do you? I know you're a real stickler for getting your paint colours spot on accuracy, and so accuracy wise, how do you go doing that for things like Gundam or Gunpla stuff?
So there's different ways to do it, because there's the animation. Obviously, the animation changes from series to series. The stuff that was done in 1979, which is the original anime, is not the same as what it's the same colors now. But they're similar. Over the years, Bandai have standardized their colorization of their animes as well. So we try and match it to the actual model kits themselves. So the colors the Bandai use in the plastics, we try to match them as close to that, but enough that you can see the difference.
Yeah. So do Bandai throw in their instructions, like, I want to say FS numbers? Like, we got the Mods X-Wing, and there's like FS numbers for the colors, calling out for the colors and stuff.
Yes.
So there you go. Yeah, right there. Cool.
Yeah. So shown there. They're heavily aligned with GSI, Mr. Hobby. So all the colors that are shown in any Bandai instruction manual are GSI colors.
So what you're saying is there's no set standard color, but you take an approximation in the same way that you're not actually touching the lozenge colors for World War One.
Yeah, that's the thing, because it's an animated TV show. It's a bit difficult to match the animated side of things. So we match the actual physical plastic side of things. So
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah,
and yeah, so we try and make them as accurately possible to match it. So that it's enough that it doesn't look like plastic. Obviously, it looks like it's paint, but you're going to keep the same colors. So if you want to build a Gundam and you have to do some modifications and you want to repaint it, you want to use the exact same colors the plastic was in, our paints will do that.
Okay, so what colors are you releasing?
So we've got 12 to begin with. So we've got the 4 main colors for the Gundam. So there's Armor White, Core Red, Federation Blue, Vanguard Yellow. Then there's inner frame grey, which is the arms and the inside skeleton of all of them. So that's a universal color for everything. Then carbon black, which is a real nice deep black, but it's a flat finish as well, which gives you a nice highlights for some of the armor parts. And 3 different greens for the Zaku, which is the opposite side of the battles in Gundam, so the Xeon side. And the commander units, so there's a pink, salmon pink, and a wine red. So they're for the commander units. And then the Neo red, which is a nice, bright, vibrant red, which is designed more for the Suzabi and the Shinanju. So the more specialized commander suits, which I know nearly everyone here is going all over your heads. You got no idea what I'm talking about, Shane.
Yes.
Well, you say that. Stephen, who was our guest on the last episode, which you haven't heard yet, we're obviously recording in advance, from Gunpla UK, has given us a complete grounding on the subject.
Oh, well, good. It's good.
So hopefully all the audience will be knowing all about what you're talking about.
From my head.
But yeah, so they're the first colours. So they're the main colours that everyone does use when building, because even though they're specifically for these older versions of Gundam, the same colors are used throughout all the different series. So there's not 200 odd colors like you would see in military and aircraft. There's only like a handful of colors that are used in Mecha.
Okay, so is this the whole range in one hit, or are there supplementary colors to follow?
Depending how this goes, the first range would be obviously the 12, and we're probably looking at another maybe 12 after that, but that's going to be the extent of it.
Okay, well, I know Stephen's looking to actually stock the paints already, so you've got your first customer in the UK.
Oh, that's good.
Oh dear. Okay, sticking with your good self at the moment, I take it the paint is actually lacquer.
Yes. Yes, yeah. It's all the same. It's all the same premium range that we've got. It's just the colours that have changed. So it's this exact same formula we've developed over 10 years. That's the airbrush ready out of the bottle. Same stuff.
Okay, which is absolutely superb. Okay, and you have now actually caused me a massive OCD panic for the fact that after 10 years, you're changing your bottle logo and the design. Are you gonna sell supplementary stickers so you can actually have it all the same on the shelf? Because it's going to go to rats otherwise.
Yeah, that won't do. That won't do. The heritage line. There you go. The heritage line.
This is actually the 6th version of our labels. We've done little tweaks and stuff over the years, but this is the 3rd major change. Yes, as John's showing there. Yeah.
That's an eye twitch waiting to happen.
So the one on the right there, the green one was the original labels, and then we moved to that other one, which is our most current. And then this one we've just updated for the last couple of weeks. So this is going to take quite a while to change over. So we've already sent out quite a few of the blacks and whites and jet black and things like that. The most used colours are already, that stuff's already left and it's in people's hands already. But a lot of the other colours, it's going to take quite a while to change over and see them completely in stores.
Scott, I was just going to ask, because I know with your paints, sometimes I skip the priming process and go straight onto plastic.
Fine.
Is it all fine on the ABS style?
Me too.
Yep. Well, I don't know exactly what it is. It's fine straight onto plastic.
Yeah, it's perfectly fine. ABS is fine with our stuff. It's generally the oil-based enamel paints is what ABS and stuff don't really like, especially with the Bandai plastics. They tend not to like the solvents that are used in enamels. If anyone's any gun or Star Wars or those sorts of stuff that Bandai do, you put a wash over the top. If you're not careful, the whole thing becomes fragile and just falls apart. That's to do with the plastic itself rather than the paints. That's just the way they are. So to get around that, it's just a matter of giving it a nice coverage of paint so there's nothing can seep through and you're good as gold.
Yeah. Okay, mate. Yeah.
And give the model a wipe beforehand too with some ISO or something like that. It's I always do. And then don't handle it again with bare hands. And that's for any paint. That's not just the Scots. It's any paint. Scots is hardier than most, but you can still compromise any adhesion with greasy fingers. And don't eat a pizza before modelling.
Yeah, the beauty of lacquer is that the solvents are what creates the adhesion. So as your solvents land on the plastic, it softens the plastic ever so much because of the solvents will react with the plastic softener. So acetone that's in the paint will bond with the plastic molecules and then dry really, really fast. And that's what gives you that really strong adhesion.
Okay, one more thing. A lot of the Gundams have like a ball joint connector. Would you recommend masking that off?
No, it's fine.
No? Okay, right.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I've done many over the years. Usually I use those points as where I clip my clip onto.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
Where I'm spray airbrush. Yeah, so a lot of the time the paint doesn't get on. And even then, if the paint does get on, exactly what Shane's showing now, it's clipped on. Even if you do airbrush them, it's just a thin layer. So all it's going to do is just stiffen the joint. So you're still going to be able to move the joints around. It's just not going to be, it's going to be a lot more firmer, so it's not going to become loose and floppy over time.
Do you think code to 20 PSI? 15 PSI?
15.
Yeah, Scott, so for those listeners that might not be familiar with SMS, so what, with this setup, if you're airbrushing or whatever else, because it's lacquer, we'll have listeners that are predominantly enamel painters and we'll have listeners that might be predominantly acrylic, yeah? And obviously the setup with airbrushing might be slightly different. So if with your paints, what's the setup you need? If you're doing like cleaners, thinners, whatever.
Yep, that's very simple. We made our paints as foolproof as possible. So it's a matter of making sure you've got good ventilation. So a spray booth, which you should have with any paint, no matter what it is. Doesn't matter if it's acrylic, water base or whatever. As if you're spraying atomized paint, you should have something to remove the atomized paint from the room. So always use a spray booth. Face mask.
Not your lungs.
Not your lungs.
Don't remove atomized paint from the room with your lungs.
Yes.
Don't do that.
Face mask, if you've got one, is preferred, depending again on where you're spraying, but it's always best to have one on. Then with cleanup, because it's an acrylic lacquer, all you need to do is use the acrylic lacquer thinners or an equivalent solvent to just dilute and flush the paint out of the airbrush. And that's including if you've forgotten about it overnight and the whole thing's dried up and seized up. Just put a bit of lacquer thinners back into it and agitate it around a little bit, and it'll dissolve it back into a liquid paint, which you can flush straight back out your airbrush. And if you have that problem with something else like a water base or anything else similar, you're going to have to do a full strip down of your airbrush if that's the case, and you're going to be picking out bits of water-based paint from the bottom of your airbrush. So that's the best advantage of a lacquer is if it dries out, whack a bit more thinners back into it and you're good to go again.
Okay, so with your paint, it comes pre-thinned. For those that want to actually just go that little bit further, can you put MLT or the equivalent in?
Yes, you certainly can. We make it in a way that anyone of any skill level can just pick it up and spray, and you're going to get a good, consistent result out of it. And but we've made it in such a way that people with a bit more experience can add more thinners to the mix to suit their own personal styles or whatever technique they're trying to do. So if you're doing some post shading and you want to really get a nice, fine, soft line, you thin the paint right down. We've got enough pigment in there that you can actually put quite a lot of solvents back into the paint, thin it down to get these nice lines and still get good color coverage.
Okay, and instead of actually buying another manufacturer's product, do you do your own version of MLT?
No, we just got a standard acrylic lacquer thinner. This is the beauty too of lacquers thinners. Is if the thinners itself has got the right components, you don't have to stick with the proprietary stuff. A lot of water-based brands, they have their own proprietary stuff that only works with their stuff, and anything you try any other brand's thinners, and it just turns it to a coagulated mess. With an acrylic lacquer, it's universal paint, so if you get a solvent that will work with it, it'll work with it. So MLT will work fine with it. Tamiya lacquer thinners will work with it. A general purpose lacquer thinner from a hardware store or an automotive store will work with it. So yeah, it frees you up that way too, so you're not tied to the same ecosystem.
Okay. Now we have a question from one of our team that's not on the call today, Mr. Spencer Pollard. He is trying to get a decent gloss finish straight out of the airbrush and is having issues. He's aiming virtually just getting semi-matte or a semi-gloss finish. What is the trick to getting a high gloss for an aircraft?
Use the right sheen paint and the distance you're spraying from. So you want to use a high gloss, but you only want to spray from about 5 centimeters away. So the further you are away, the more airtime the paint has to dry. And as a gloss paint starts to dry in the air, the sheen will start to flatten off. So you want the paint to be wet when it hits the model. So you want to go down. So you want to go in closer, and you also want to go if you're finding per 15 is a bit too high at that distance, you can drop it down to 10. So that'll give you less force pushing the paint out at the same time, which will keep it wetter. And you just do a couple of coats, and you also have to factor in that with glossing stuff, you don't go for the one coat wonder. Aim for 2, 3, 4 coats to get a nice, smooth, glossy finish. I would assume that Spencer would know this already with that, but a lot of you listeners might not know it. They go for the one coat wonder and they try and spray one coat on and go, why isn't it glossy? It needs a couple of coats for it to lay on top of each other to start getting a nice gloss effect.
I mix in some clear gloss as well. Drop some some of Scott's clear gloss in with his flats, and it works fantastically well as well. And it helps.
Is that the clear or the super clear?
It's super clear. Well, any of the clear glosses, and it glossens up the paint really, really well. Glossens, is that a word? Yeah. Glossens. Yeah. And in fact, Mia paint and AK real color. Yeah. And not to Guns, because Guns is kind of a bit glossy anyway, but drop some clear in and it helps the paint spray even better. Yeah. And same with SMS. Yeah. I throw some gloss in to the flats, especially if I'm doing tight camos and stuff. Yeah.
There's another trick along the same vein the car guys do, which I do sometimes myself when I'm doing cars. On the final clear coat you're putting in, especially if you've got a solid color, put a couple of drops of the solid color into your clear. So what it does, it'll heavily dilute the color down, but it'll be enough that it keeps the gloss sheen up without changing it too much. So you're essentially putting on a solid color, if you could understand that. Doing that, and it's going to be a bit more difficult for doing aircraft, for example, because you've done all your post-shading, pre-shading and stuff, so you don't want to cover that. So, but with cars, you don't have to worry about that stuff. So a couple of drops in just to give a slight tint to the clear helps with that glossiness as well.
Couple of drops of black in the clear and give it on. That's why it's all black's a nightmare. Don't ever paint a black car.
Way ahead of you. Never going to paint a black car.
That's why I always do colour shift and pearls when I do cars, because it's very forgiving.
That's why I built stuff that has flat coat on top.
Okay. Sam, you were talking about, obviously, the Wingnut Wings and Qatari. Your channel has done a fantastic build video of a Mark 5B spit from Qatari. How did you find that?
Awesome. I need to control my enthusiasm. Yeah, it's the one I've been waiting for, really, because Australians use them. I mean, everyone used Mark 5s, right? So it was one of the most, certainly the first of the most widely used Spitfires amongst the other nations, not just England and Britain. And I was really keen. And so, the kit's wonderful. And I built the Mark 1 and then the PR as well. And then the Mark 5 is just a lovely extension of building those. So it's there. The cockpit is one of the finest cockpits I've ever had the joy of putting together. There's just so much going on. And that might be just because it's a Spitfire cockpit and there is lots going on in a Spitfire cockpit. But just, it's an incredible model unto itself. And then look, the outside is great. So, and quite a bit different from a Mark 1, different enough, and not brown and green, which is nice. It's a mixed grey and green, which is an interesting colour. So really very enjoyable build. Yeah, really great.
And that was 453 Squadron?
457,
457.
There's it's such, and people who build Spitfires know there's such a rabbit hole of, and anyone who's got the new IBG 72nd scale Spitfire will know when you open the box and there's a dozen canopies in the box because they've included all the different variants of canopies. And so trying to find a 453 Squadron aircraft with the exhaust and canopy combination was really tricky. So I found a 457 one to do instead. So when Qatari eventually and inevitably release other variants of that kit, and Mark talked about it in the video that Richard's got others on the way. I think Mark has. Yeah, I'll do more RAF ones for sure. So, but we need the later exhausts and the later internal armoured windscreen to do some of the other versions.
And the blown canopy.
And the blown canopy. Yeah. So, and really also the tropical underside cowling to do some Australian in Australia Spitfires, as well as obviously some Malta ones. So they'll all happen, I'm sure, at some point. They've not told me anything. I'm not privy to any secrets, but I'm as sure as night follows day looking at the engineering of that kit, there's bound to be a million different variants of it.
Yes, I'll kill him if he doesn't do a blown canopy version. I've had this conversation with him previously, and we've had him on the show talking about it as well. But this colour scheme that you chose for that build was when the unit moved from Coventry or RAF Baggington to Derby, the Isle of Man?
If you say so. Oh, so I know that sounds really vague. I was going off one photo out of, I think it might have been one of the wing leader books or one of the squadrons books. Anyway, and so it didn't actually say where the aircraft was. It didn't even say if it's mixed grey and green. So I just assumed by how beat up it is that it's mixed grey and green and not ocean grey and green. So not that late. It's definitely an early one with a mixed grey. Yeah. And so look, I'm assuming that's where it was, but the captions were pretty vague. So I just went with that colour scheme.
Well, there was an article in IPMS Australia from about 79, I think it was, that went into the history of it. The reason I know so much about this unit is I used to be head of air traffic at Coventry, and the squadron was actually formed at Coventry. So I've been doing some research into their initial foundation and then when they moved away from Coventry. But it was at the time period when they were actually moving from the dark earth across to the grey.
Yep.
And I've been trying to find out at what point did they actually make the transition? Were they grey at Coventry? Were they brown at Coventry? Because although the date came in for the colour scheme change, as Mark Potherswaite from Wing Leader said when he was on the show, don't assume that the aircraft that are not on the front line had the treatment at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
So the further they are from the front line, they were actually issued the paints, etc., and modification state of the aircraft further and further down the line. So although they're only about a month or so after the date check of the colour scheme change, the chances are they probably would have actually been dark earth rather than grey at the time they went to the Isle of Man. But it's finding the research.
Look, there's bound to be more information. Yeah.
I've only found one photograph of a machine at Coventry, but the trouble is you just can't extrapolate out of the data accurately. Is that grey? Is it earth? Which is a pain in the to put it mildly. But anyway.
And this is exactly why we love this hobby.
Exactly right.
Oh, yes, totally. But
Every day's a school day.
yeah, you're not wrong there, Dan. Which was going to lead me on to the next part about your build, in that you'd primarily painted the decal or the markings onto the aircraft rather than using the kit supplied decals for the colour scheme. Did you use black for the registrations, or did you use a dark grey?
I used Night, which is Scott's Night. So, which is a World War One colour, but it's not black, it's just off black. And it's perfect colour for it. Yeah, so because it's an Australian subject, I obviously wanted to use Scott's paints, so I used SMS paints throughout the build, and it's flawless. Yeah, it was really lovely. So, and made my own mixed grey, and had to do touch-ups, and by the very nature of mixed grey, it was mixed at maintenance units, so there wasn't a uniformity to the colour. So any touch-ups I did, the shades were different, which adds to the patina. Take a shot of the model, which is awesome. So I really love building that stuff into my models, just not blazing away with one colour, rather than getting some difference out. Because I mean, something happens and they get a ding in a panel, or they get some battle damage, they retouch it up, it's going to be a different colour, right? So great opportunity to get some interest into the paint scheme rather than just have it one broad bland colour.
You did that on your 262 as well that you built for the 48. I was looking at the photos, the Messerschmitt 262. Would you be up for talking us through the process of how you get a uniform colour to look so varied and not boring on a particular model?
Yeah, there's kind of not.
So on that 262, talk us through your process on that one, please.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Just too. So I think so. It's grey plastic. I don't prime anything because I'm lazy. I'm so lazy, and so I hate priming. I worry about it clogging detail. I don't know. You don't have to blaze away and goop the primer on, but I'm really lazy. So, and I'm also really keen to get the color on. And you kind of saw that in my my Spitfire build, because I forgot to spray silver on the wing roots to go back and strip the paint and spray the silver on. Idiot. So anyway, so for the 262. So I was in a rush because it was 48 hours. So to me, a 2-sprue wonder kits are brilliant and go together so quickly. So it's a perfect build for that scenario. So what do I do for the camo? Oh boy. I think in sections, I sprayed RLM 02 down as like almost like a primer, but it's just a good way of introducing a lightness under the camo. And then I try to paint my paint in whatever scale, and this is going to sound absurd when I say it out loud, I want the paint to look like it's been applied by a human in scale. Mm-hmm. So I know that sounds really silly, but I don't go for super thick, cover everything so that there's a uniform green slab of paint. I squiggle it on, cross hatch almost, and just nothing too uniform. And so that kind of worked on the 262 and got that opacity and that depth to the color, if you like. And so Chris Walkup is the local guy here in Australia who is a master of airbrushing. Listeners, worth having a look at his website, Static Capital. His airbrush work is phenomenal. I've known the guy for 30 odd years, and he just sprays guns, paints straight from the bottle, straight from the jar with a drop of thinners, and uses an old Aztec airbrush. And he's the best airbrusher guy I've ever seen. And so he's got some beautiful 262s on his site, and he gets that translucency of color where you can see the primer, the German applied primer, not grey primer that we'd use. And that's the look I went for. So, and then when I applied the different colored green camo, I then went over the top of the original green with the other green.
Right.
So it removes any demarcation between the greens. I know that's vague, but yeah, I'm just trying to think back to how I did it. So yeah, it's really just try to apply a light touch and sneak up on the coverage, if you like.
Yeah.
So don't just go for one big coat that covers everything, but sneak up on it so you get that nice fake thing.
Did you choose a particular reference photo to go from, or a batch? Or I know it's hard because they're probably not in color.
Yeah. So yeah, no, well, I absolutely. So I did Black X, which is the aircraft that's at the Australian War Memorial here in Canberra. And so it was gifted to Australia post-war from the RAF or from Britain. And then we got it out here. And it turns out it's a super rare. I mean, they're all super rare, right? It turns out it's a super rare one because it's got a 4-gun nose and it's got the bomb racks fitted under the nose as well. So it's quite a rare one, apparently. And it was in original colors up until the 70s, maybe, when it was overpainted in our RAF foliage green. Ugh. And so it's been stripped back and it's in very poor condition, but close to original paint still. So that's what I was trying to use for I guess, inspiration and reference for the model. So yeah, I'm going to do one in 32 scale, but yeah, doing it in 48 is quick for the 48 build.
Right. Thanks, Sam.
Well, you've got the Revell Form 32nd coming out very shortly, which has got the Canon nose, but it's also got the original nose in the kit as well.
Yeah. Oh, it does. Okay. Yeah, I've got the original Revell release here in the stash. And then Daswork are about to release the 262 as well in 32 scale. So that'll be interesting.
Okay, so did you use Scott's paint for that 48 build? And why not?
No, I used, yeah, why not? Well, it is an Australian subject, right? I should have used SMS on it. Yeah. So,
Same.
yeah. So, yeah, no, I think I used MRP on that. Sorry, Scott. No, I think I used MRP on that one. Yeah, just for no other reason as it was handy. Interesting, there's a competition coming up every year here in Australia called Scale Act, which is in Canberra. And this year, so they have a different rotating all-in category every year, the Sentinel Shield, I think it's called. And this year, the category is any aircraft that was flying out of Fairburn Air Force Base in Canberra, which is their airport, and also it's a military base there. And I checked with the president of the club, and yes, anything that is at the War Memorial flew out of Fairburn at one point. So any of the aircraft that are on display, G for George, the Lancaster, the 262, the 109, the Zero, any of those things can be built in this category because they're technically Australian aircraft, right? They're Australian aircraft now, so I might just do a 262 for that one.
Yeah, I'd just ask that any benchmates or listeners that in Oz that do go to those shows, please share plenty of photos because us guys obviously can't be there, and try and get some more. I know it's hard leaning over models when they're on tables and you have to really make sure you're holding your phone very, very tightly in your hand, but try and get some close-up photos because I love seeing builds from other countries. Although a lot of the subjects are the same, you do notice that people display slightly differently. I'm a bit of against sticking it on a piece of paper thing. I like to see models on a base because I think it frames them a lot better. But yeah, please share all of the shows, even smaller shows. I know that might not be a thing in Oz because of the humongous distances that are travelled, but yeah, please share photos from shows and events that you go to.
Well, you're not going to make it there with that attitude.
Well, one day I'd like to. I nearly ended up in Australia at one point, so yeah, saved by the bell.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of competitions, a lot of shows here, do we, Scott and John?
Well, we do if you look close enough. We generally have like one large one per state. So Victoria got Model Expo coming up in a couple of weeks. It's New South Wales.
Yeah, that's I think the 6th of June, I believe.
June, yeah, first weekend in June. So long weekend here in Melbourne. So that's the big one. Well, the New South Wales one's
not a nationals though. Yeah, none of these are nationals. They're more state bases, got to say.
No, we all do state based. We don't have a travelling national show like you'd see in America or the UK, even New Zealand as well.
We don't have the hobby population to support a big national show where clubs
no.
jockey and bid for it, unfortunately. So, and then just the tyranny of distance, right, between all the capital cities is a bit of a killer for that.
So yeah, we've got Model Expo coming. We've got New South Wales model shows in 2 weeks' time. So this time in 2 weeks, I'll be there in Illawarra in Wollongong. So then we also got in Adelaide in October. Western Australia's got one in August. Canberra in November. Queensland QMHE's in August. Yep. So in Canberra's in November. Plus there's quite a few small ones in between as well. We got quite a few little ones around Melbourne, Port Macquarie up Johns Way. Who else? We've got the Wagga show. There was a show last week at Tumut, which is in regional New South Wales. There's one here in Ballarat in the same weekend I'm going to New South Wales, which is a bit weird. But there's the little tiny ones. And then outside of them too, you've also got all the train shows. You've also got all the tabletop shows, the gaming shows and that play the Warhammer and that. So we've got quite a few, just not as much as you guys in the UK do.
Fair enough. So obviously this being your 10th anniversary year, you've got the STL file for people to download your little character paint at home available. Fantastic idea.
Yes.
And obviously you do a lot of sponsorship of shows in Australia, as well as sponsoring our pod, for which we thank you very much. It is much appreciated. But you also do quite often special limited edition colours, which are available at shows out there.
Yes.
What have you got available for your 10th anniversary? Is it champagne coloured? Sorry, it'd be 4X, wouldn't it? 4X.
Oh, dude, that was an opportunity. You should have done that.
It's Victoria beer colour, probably, isn't it?
VB, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, piss yellow. No, I'm still working on what our anniversary colour is going to be this time. We've still got a few limited edition stuff that we've been
dragging around for the last few shows. We try and take them around to different shows so everyone gets a chance, because not everyone can travel to every show, as Sammy was alluding to before, because Australia is quite a big country and it's very expensive to get anywhere in this place, especially at the moment with the cost of fuel. But so we take our limited edition stuff around to different shows. It's more an encouragement, really, to get people to come to the shows, because they do want to get a hold of our limited edition paints. So the only way to get it is to come to the show. So they've got to pay the entry to get in the show. They're going to come in and hopefully get motivated and inspired to build some new projects when they come to these model shows and see what's around on the table. So that's our way to encourage people to get back into these shows and support the shows, and hopefully foster a whole new generation of people coming through.
Okay, well, if you want to stick a box on your next shipment to Albion in the UK for Telford, we can hand them out on your behalf.
I'll have a look, yeah.
The problem is with your paint, Scott, is particularly the really bright colours and the candies and stuff, is us as modelers, well, I certainly do, you think, I'm going to buy that and then buy a kit to go with it. It's not buy the kit and then look for the paint.
It's a gateway drug.
Yeah, it is the gateway drug. My son's just got Kawasaki Ninja, and that green, we don't want to do the standard green on it. He wants to maybe do a flip-flop green on the frame or something like that. And I thought, I bet Scott's got something on the menu that we can choose from.
We've got quite a few different greens in the colour shift range that would do good on that. One we've got called Cosmos, which is like a green to a yellow, which has got a hint of blue in it as well. It's really beautiful.
Yeah. See?
The other thing you've obviously got out, Scott, is your commemorative coins.
Yes, and it's something we've released just for Australian, because difficulty with our shipping overseas with a lot of things at the moment. But at the moment, we've got it available through Australia, through our Australian customers, because it's just a little way just to say thank you to everyone who supported us for the past 10 years. Without everyone support, like since 2016 here in Australia, we wouldn't have been able to do what we have been able to do in 10 years. So just a little bit of a thank you as a commemorative item that people can buy from us. That's just so they can be a part of the journey that we've had.
So obviously you started the business in your garage. You've now got quite a large unit is it Ballarat?
Yeah, Ballarat, yep.
In Ballarat. How many people have you got working now in the unit?
Including myself, there's only 4 of us, but the 4 of us pump out 150,000 bottles a year. So that's pretty good. Consider there's only 4 of us. It's myself that does.
So what you're saying is, Scott, you're a slave driver. That's what I'm hearing.
Pretty much, but I'm the main slave. That's the thing. Everyone else works part-time, but I work double time. So that's myself, my wife, Katrina, her sister, Sharon, and then we've also got Thomas, who's my production assistant. So between the 4 of us, we pretty much keep on top of our shipments across Australia, both to customers and retailers, and exports to New Zealand, Canada, the US, and to you fine folks over in the UK.
And are you finding issues at the moment with the Strait of Hormuz problem, that you're having issues getting shipments overseas?
Not currently, because we're in between international shipments. So all the major restocks went out December, January, February. So we're about due to get a new wave of shipments a new wave of orders coming through in the next few months, next month or so. So we're expecting to have a bit of issues then. But as far as I'm aware, the only major issue is just the cost has gone up. I was speaking to our freight forwarders last week just to double check on things. Just our normal courier rates across the country here, just door stuff to the stores, it's just gone up significantly. So I just double checked on international freight, and the international's just gone up as well, quite significantly. But that's a problem I'll face when we next ship out.
Yeah. Okay. So the final question I've got for you, Scott, is where's my US Air Force ADC grey that we talked about?
It's still in progress.
Fair enough. As long as you get FS 16473 out, I will be more than happy.
Do you get many people coming to you, Scott, with colour requests?
Oh, constantly.
Can I hit you up for stuff? Yeah.
Yeah, constantly. It's because of the way we work stuff and the size we are, we can't really do custom requests. So we have to try and factor those things into our range, whether it's going to be a viable option. It's not just whether it's going to be a financially viable option for us, but we've also got to take into consideration the retailers, because the retailers are going to be the people who are going to invest their money into our range, so it's on their shelves. So we need to make sure it's a colour that's going to sell through, obviously. So because we don't want the retailers to be spending all their money and sitting on a shelf and not selling because only one person wanted that colour. We've got to make sure it's a highly sought after colour to make it a viable option, not just for us on a manufacturing level, but also our retailers on a retail level.
So, Brownie, you need to go to every hobby shop you find in the UK and just ask, have you got any SMS ADC grey? All of a sudden, all these different hobby shops are going to start asking for ADC grey.
Well, we do. Yeah, well, the ADC Grey is only produced by one company, and the quality of it is, I'll say, lacking, to put it mildly. But it's the grey that all the F-102s, the F-106s, and the Air National Guard Phantoms were painted in.
Ah, there you go.
And there's not a decent representation of that colour. So there's a big call for it in the States, I would have thought, to put it mildly. But I've got a 132nd Phantom here, which again, thanks to Mrs. Pollard for the Michigan Air National Guard, and I need that grey in quantity. So it's not an obscure colour, it is quite a big one. But anyway, I know Shane needs to jump off because he's got an air show to go to in Duxford, so we'll speak to him again in the near future. With that, we'll jump into you, John, and if you can give us a bit of a background on Piece by Piece.
All right. So my background is, so I grew up in southeast Melbourne, Springvale South, and Dandenong, Memmering actually. So after I was an electrician, two apprenticeships, different places, and then after 10 years, I joined the Air Force as an avionics technician. Worked on and J model Hercs for 15 years. Had a procurement job in Laverton, Melbourne for 4 years as a respite from going to the Middle East all the time. And jumped across to Orion's, did that for 5 years, the search for MH370 and all other things. Then came up here to Williamtown, which is just north of Newcastle, on the mid-north coast of New South Wales. Classic Hornets for the last 2 years at 2OCU. Then I jumped across to F-35. I was on the first avionics course in Australia for the F-35. And then my back went, and I had spinal fusion surgery in October that year, 2020. And I never got good again. I wildly underestimated how long the recovery for that would be. So very quickly I went from being like what somebody I thought was pretty good, knowledgeable and all that stuff, to being the guy that nobody wants around because he's only here 2 days a week for half days and he's getting paid the same amount as me and all that crap. And it became a really caustic environment. So I was pretty much shown the door, given no choice really, but shown the door at the end of 2022. And so since then, I've been I'm a pensioner. I'm not working anymore. But this scale modelling thing, if it wasn't for it, and that coincided, 2020, of course, you'd remember, coincided with COVID and everything else. So it was a terrible, terrible time. It was no doubt the lowest point of my life, just having trouble walking around the house when you can't leave the house. And it was just terrible. But if, in a way, I've been thinking, this scale modelling thing, I've trained for COVID my entire life. If I need to sit at a bench and be quiet, then I could do that. So it kept my head above water. And also, fortunately, around about that time, I think certainly when I was with the Classic Hornets, Malcolm Child's work with Models for Heroes in the UK was mentioned, I think, on the Bench podcast, but Dave Julian and, oh, God, I'm sorry.
Digger Dave Goldfish. How can you forget somebody that size?
Dave, Podfather.
Who's he?
Oh, I've got a picture of him in the Mad Max setup that he signed. It's sitting over there. But
You can hear him before you see him.
anyway, so I got onto Malcolm and asked, tell me more about this. This is something that I'd certainly look at supporting an Australian version of that if there was one. And I had a look around and there wasn't one. He gave me a couple of names and both of those people were saying, no, I just asked a question. No, I'm not going to do anything. But I thought, well, I'm going to have to do it myself because it is something that's absolutely worthwhile. There's a lot of people I worked with over years that are damaged as a result of their service. And a lot of it was mentioned last week, in fact, by Gary Evans of Gary's stuff, that it's not just warlike activities that creates PTSD conditions in people and stuff. I showed him a photo of one of the evacuation flights for our J model Hercs from Banda Aceh after the 2004 tsunami. I'll bring up that photo here because you'll get the idea. Sorry, it's not for the viewers at home, but there we go. This is the back of one of our Dash 30s. Let's see that.
Wow. Jeez. Packed in like sardines.
Yeah. So the Dash 30 J model, it's about 4.73 meters longer than the standard Herc. So you can get more people in. So we're not even sure, but we think that we may have got the record for the most people on a Hercules then, trumping what happened at the end of the Vietnam conflict, but we're not even sure.
Just for our audience at home, you had people sat on every inch of the floor was completely covered. It wasn't just the jump seats that you normally use. Every single inch of that floor was covered with people.
Yeah. Yeah. So there was no room for, like, I think there was 19 people on the flight deck and stuff like that. It was pretty crazy. So I know people that saw some stuff during the tsunami, like people were sliced open, Bali bombing, all this stuff. It's a long list of terrible things throughout most people's careers, whether they be deployed or not deployed overseas and operationally. There's some terrible things that can happen, and it does affect a lot of people, and to the point where I know some people that it's difficult for them to function with the normal life and stuff and like that. And because I've found for myself that scale modeling thing is an absolute, that's a positive thing. And I don't suffer PTSD myself. I'm not going to claim that. There are a couple of things that if I talk about, I start to get emotional. But I am not going to put my hand up and say I'm affected by this and that. The physical disability that I have isn't, the only time it was a mental one was because of realizing that I can't do my job anymore. That's the last thing I did on an aircraft is a post-wash lube, giving the blokes a hand on the flight line because we didn't have enough people on, just doing re-lubricating the actuation points on the F-35. And I did the nose wheel, main wheel, left gear, and I just said to the guys, I'll go in, take a wee. And I didn't. I went into the change room and I was lying down on the change room bench, bawling my eyes out because I'm thinking I can't do this anymore. So there we go. I'm right back there now. But Models for Heroes, they let me be part of their closed group for the beneficiaries and all that stuff. And I was hanging out and chatting with them and all that stuff. And I was thrilled with how quickly they accepted me with open arms because I was expecting it to be like, oh, he's not British and all that stuff. There's none of that. Just more along the lines of, oh, you're in the Commonwealth, we'll have the same colours and salute the same people and all that stuff like that. So yeah, straight in. And after, I think, I don't know, a year of that, the annual fundraiser, the 48 and 48, which is March every year, premise is build a 48 scale model kit within 48 hours, and it's a YouTube event that goes around the world. I was asked to be a part of that as an Australian co-host for that. And I've done that for the last, I think, 4 years. And I've been part of the live streams for beneficiaries that we do 3 days a week. On Sundays, it goes out to open on YouTube so anyone can see what it says, basically to promote the cause. And then Mondays and Wednesdays, we do sessions for beneficiaries. And I've been doing that for over 5 years now and stuff. So I deal with the people over there and everything that's involved. And basically, I feel a gaping need to see if we can set up one in Australia. We have different issues, constraints, obviously tyranny of distance and everything else. But my principal aim is I lost a mate at the last, I think, last week of my service. And if I can keep somebody vertical a little bit longer, then I'd like to consider that job done. Yeah.
Okay. Does the Australian military have this issue with not being able to place people with issues that have actually caused during service then? I know the UK military basically has a way of putting people into roles that if they can't do a physical job, they could actually do an admin or something of that nature.
Yeah. So in my case, what it was, I think you guys called a SENGO, senior engineering officer, he knew what was going on with my spine and all that stuff like that. And what he was saying is, we'll move you down to headquarters. Now, one of the things I was a specialist in was training journals and signing people off for the assessment books for them to get their MAML, a military aviation maintenance license and stuff like that. Just doing training, computer crap, administrivia. And I was good at that. And he wanted me to go down to headquarters and have a respite while I got better. My immediate supervisor, my flight sergeant, was, I'm not going to give another squadron my problem. I'll deal with it myself. And he had me kicked out. So that was it. It was awful. There was so many ways that they could have done better. But when it came to it, like my career is watching people suddenly like heading out the door and being really upset with everything that's going on around them, just thinking, oh yeah, I hope that doesn't happen to me. And when it did, I wasn't ready for it. I looked at it with a view of getting better and keeping going. And it was just like, we don't have time for this. And it was crazy time. The first year the F-35s were in Australia, so dropping everything F-18 and doing the F-35 and then all the pickup flights over to the US to get more aircraft. You're not performing. Why not? Because you're not deploying. Oh, well, you deploy me? No, because you're not performing. And the whole thing was just never-ending cycle of downward spiral. And it was terrible, terrible, terrible time. So they're not good at doing this. I think the Army and Navy would have to be the same, probably worse. But there's some great people in the services, but there's also some not so great people in the services. And the trouble is, my supervisor at the time, I'd known him for 24 years. Like, he joined the year after me. We were ACs together on Hercs for more than 10 years. And he still treated me like that because, you're not manageable. I'm just like, Jesus. Like, it was terrible.
Thanks for nothing. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So this is part of the reason why it's so important for me, because if I didn't experience it myself, I'd think, oh, yeah. But it was just terrible. And the deal is, I want nothing from the charity myself. I can afford my own model kits and all that stuff like that. But there are people that are probably not in a position to do this and all that stuff like that. So anything I could do to help is my principal aim, is just get going, get started.
Okay, so the charity name is Piece by Piece. So that's PEACE by PIECE, which is a clever play on words. But where are you with the foundation of that charity?
So recently, within the last 2 months, in where I am in the Hunter Valley, Maitland, they opened a veterans and families hub. And I went down there the day after it opened and had a look around. I'm just like, this is brilliant. And I sat down with them for 2 hours and showed them everything, told them everything. And yeah, absolutely, this is something we can do. And so it's going to happen. Like, every time I see Haley, the manager down there, she says the verbal is yes, yes, yes. But I'm still waiting for the official, even reply for an email. So it's very slow. The other thing that I'm very mindful of is, because I can't do all of Australia. I can do, Malcolm Child's advice was, start small, do your own thing that you can do, local sessions, and then it's much along the lines of build it and they will come. I know there are other people in other places. Peter, I think the president of the Scale ACT, Scale Australian Capital Territory show, and the club down there, he's very keen on this thing to happen as well. And in I can't remember. Stephen Cook is running sessions.
Yeah, Melton
RSL. Yeah.
Yeah, we've been dealing with him too.
That's right. Yeah. So I asked just before he came on, do you mind if I throw in a plug for you and the work that they're doing down there? Absolutely. It'd be great. He's working tonight. But the best I could do at the moment is network. Like, I don't necessarily want to do this alone. I want to, if anybody has the same values and aims as what I've got, they're certainly welcome to come along. I can help. We can, basically, if we all talk together and everything else, we can get this happening. And I think RSLs, our version of Legion, Return Servicemen's League, they are keen on funding different groups in their own sub-branches and everything else. But it's just a way of coordinating that, I think, is getting the word out. So my view is, if enough of us can go to their local branch and all that stuff, maybe they can see that, this is a thing that we can get behind, because it's for a relatively low cost. This will do good work, I think.
Okay. So someone who's listening to this, our third largest audience is in Australia. How do they get in contact with you? Have you got a web page or Facebook, or how do they get in touch?
All right. The best way would be, my Facebook profile at the moment is Scale Modelling Twins. I have a twin brother, Paul, who lives down in Melbourne. And if you can email me, scalemodelingtwins@gmail.com. We can certainly talk and see what we can do. But as I say, I'm more than keen to do anything at all at this stage. With the 48 and 48 this year, it became a bit odd that there were a number of auction lots that were paid for by certain winners of lots, and then those kits and supplies donated to me to help set up this. And Scott has mentioned that when you get going, let me know. And Hobby Co, which is, let's call it the New South Wales premier hobby store. Like, there's one in each state, pretty much. But the big one in Sydney is Hobby Co. And David Wall, the director of that, after the 48, asked me to come down to Sydney and sit down and talk with him about stuff. So he's brought me on as a blogger for their website. They have how-tos and stuff. They have a Gundam one at the moment with Rosie, who I'm meeting on Monday. We're going to sit down over coffee and talk about all this stuff. So I'm going to be starting to do some stuff with Hobbyco. It's not going to be a huge endorsement, but Hobbyco have said that they will do what they can to help set up and look after this as well. So the name's getting out there. I think that's the best thing I could do at the moment.
Okay, well, when you get your logo and everything else, please share it with us, and we'll be pushing it as hard as we can. And if there's anything you think that we can do to help, please do not hesitate to shout.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much.
And we'll give you visual abuse on the 48 and 48 next year, which is their 10th anniversary.
It is, yeah. It's a wonderful weekend. I think everybody that gets involved in that, like, it's a lot of fun.
An expensive weekend, but then blimmin' auction.
Yeah, thank you, Scott, for coming on during the last one.
Oh, that's right. It was fun.
I got cars there.
Speaking of which, Scott, thank you very much for your delivery for the auction I won in the UK.
No, that's all right. Thanks for chipping in and winning the auction.
Oh, dear. Anyway, so if you want to guest on from the show next year from the UK and the Australian blog, I'm sure Dan and the rest of the team will be more than happy to actually jump on, including myself.
Yeah.
If it stops the audience from having to look at Digger Dave for more than 5 minutes, it's got to be worthwhile.
Yeah. See, I've still not met Dave. I've chatted to him time and time again. But I've met Scott once or twice now, but you wouldn't remember, I think, the first one. But everyone else that was part of that stream, I'd never met them. I'd interact with them every few months and stuff like that. But I was going to go to Scale ACT in November last year, but my father passed away at that time, so I missed out. But I do plan to go this year.
It's a ripper. It's worth it.
So, yeah, we'll probably meet someone. Yeah.
I think events like the 48, we've said before, and podcasting and YouTubes and all of the various names within the hobby, it helps to remind people out there that obviously modelling is a very solitary hobby in itself when you're at your bench in your room or whatever, but it helps people to realise that they're not on their own. And as we found out during COVID and with people that have been in the services or blue light services or whatever, PTSD or just being a bit stressed, it's a good outlet and a little gate on a door to knock on if you need it. It's a valuable tool to be able to interact with like-minded souls, because as we've discussed quite a few times, some people don't share with their other mates that they do this strange little hobby and it's nice to know that there's other like-minded people out there. And I've said before, and I noticed with the 48 and 48 that although it's primarily aimed at people from blue light services and veterans, it also gives a point of destination for people that might not have been in those services to check in with themselves as well. So yeah, it's all good.
One point I'll make with that is there might be, for people who aren't ex-military, there might be a perception that people who are ex-military, like, nah, that's wrong, and what does he know, and all that stuff. It's the opposite. I think most people, like, I was privileged to work around these aircraft. I know I don't have to check colours of different features on, say, a Herc and stuff. I could just paint it from memory. But we don't, as far as I'm aware, there's none of them that I've met that are gatekeepers, or no, we'd encourage it as much as anybody else. But to a lot of people I worked with, it wasn't, there are some modelers and all that stuff, but for most people, it's just a job. They just felt like a mechanic, if that makes sense, and had no real interest in the history of the aircraft or whatever. And it's very strange. But yeah, you don't have to be ex-military to get the most out of this hobby. I know my service is odd because I did different fighters as well as transport as well as all that stuff like that, jumping around. A lot of people would be, I was on these ships for a number of years. Yeah, and they don't get to play with many of the features. I was able to get around and see a lot of things, but I'm more of the guy that just give it a go. If you want to paint a Spitfire pink, go for it. I'm not going to be a rivet counter. However, if you choose, there's certain topics. I've just paint this up, but there's other ones that I like Sam would know. Like if you want to focus down and get down into like as much as you can find out about a particular subject, that's fun as well. But
yeah, the British Army put out a Facebook post probably about six months to a year ago, and it was they'll profile a person, talk about what they do, and this guy is Joe Bloggs. And his hobby is Warhammer. And he finds that Warhammer really helps in his downtime, particularly when he's in barracks or whatever. And you can imagine the knuckle draggers turned out in the comments and started, all the negativity came. And my God, there is no backlash like the Warhammer community. They wielded that axe and they came to his defense. And then a lot of people came on and said, well, I do this. Would you have a go at me? Well, I fly model aircraft. Would you have a go at me? I do RC. I do model trains. And it was fantastic to see that. Like, it gave people a green light to go, no, you don't attack someone that's just because they're doing a hobby, just because they don't want to go and get drunk and shout at football players every Saturday. That might be your thing, but it's not everybody's thing. I myself am a football fan as well, but I obviously enjoy this hobby. So it's nice to hear that people come out in support of each other for the hobby, it feels like we really are a community.
Well said. Well said. Okay, so one final thing for me, John, from On Piece by Piece, is are you looking primarily at ex-service personnel or serving personnel to be part, or are you looking at anyone that has, I'll say, a mental health issue that's looking for companionship to actually build and work alongside other modelers?
So at the moment, I because, limited resources and everything else, it can only be veterans at this stage. So whether they be, if they serve for a day, like, again, we're not going to be gatekeepers, but I certainly don't have the resources to look after the wider community. So in UK, Model Spheres do blue light services. We, wouldn't be able to do that yet, but that
Aspiration.
Yeah.
A final round the table then. Sam, any plans for overseas visits this year?
I'm hoping to get to SMC this year, in October, so that would be great.
In that case, we will meet up because I'm actually going to SMC for the first time this year as well.
Excellent. Did you manage to get a room at the venue?
No.
No, it does sell out very, very quickly, doesn't it? So
I was online at the appointed hour and no chance.
Yeah. So look, ultimately, we're talking about overseas stuff. What I want to do, it is doable because I've got some friends that have done it, is to bookend a holiday with SMC at the start and Telford at the end. They're close enough to get away with that month in between of battlefield stuff and then museums and whatever in between. So that's what I'd like to do. Won't be this year. I've just started a new job and I have 0 days of annual leave. So that won't be happening. But yeah, look, hopefully SMC. And look, the weekend before Scale Act this year is the New Zealand IPMS Nationals, and it's a 2-hour flight from Melbourne. So it's as close as the Brisbane flight thing. So it might be tricky. So last year I went to Brisbane and I flew up Saturday morning and flew home Sunday night. So I didn't miss a day of work, which is awesome. So given the limited amount of leave that I have, I might do New Zealand as well. I'm under significant pressure from a couple of New Zealand mates to go over. So that would be very nice. But yeah, hopefully SMC, and hopefully if airline prices come down, boy, yeah, they're ugly. They're ugly. So anyway, yeah, that's what hopefully will happen.
I was looking at the flight fare and the cost for the airfare across to Eindhoven from here, and I thought, is that the telephone number or is that the price?
You could just drive.
Yes, the water's a little bit of a difficulty, but yes.
Just hold your breath. Yeah. No, just get there's a train.
Yes, there is.
Yeah, the problem is we're up near Manchester, so it's a long way down to get to the top.
Laughs in Australian. Come on, it's right. Yeah.
Yeah, that is the backup plan because the UK has just given operators the ability to, as long as they do in advance, cancel flights that have been pre-booked instead of doing it at the last second for fuel availability. So there is that.
Yeah. There's a long time between now and then, right? So you'd hope that something sanity prevails. I mean, it hasn't yet, but you never know. And we might see a turnaround. So yeah, I'm hoping.
Just make sure you're booking your charging point times if you're going by car.
That's not a problem. Because of this conflict, my delivery of the new car has gone from the 1st of August to the 4th of January.
Oh, which year?
Dinosaur juice it is.
Right, I'd take that with a pinch of salt because when the Ukraine war kicked off, we ordered a car well before it happened, and it took 2 years for the car to come. So a lot of the parts that were produced in the Ukraine, so all the wiring looms and everything else. So basically, when all that kicked off, all the build times got delayed. So,
are you buying a Lada? Is it Trabant? The Trabant.
I wasn't. It was, believe it or not, it was a Romanian. It wasn't a Trabant. It was
Dacia.
Yes.
Not the Dacia.
Yeah, I've had, well, believe it or not, I've had them for 10 years.
Yeah, and it's in enough Top Gear episodes.
You're thinking of the Dacia Sandero from Top Gear, aren't you?
That's it. Yeah, I am. Yeah.
Hey, we had one of them, 1.5 diesel, and it went like stink.
Yeah, I bet it did.
Brilliant car.
Yeah. The one we've got now is a hybrid, and that off the line shifts.
Oh dear. Okay, moving on then. Scott, what have you got in the pipeline other than a fantastic anniversary year coming up?
We've got, as I said, the gun colours we spoke about before. Got a couple of other things I'm working on, and just travelling to a few of the shows around the country. So, first show will be in 2 weeks' time, well, from this recording. So, around the time this episode probably going to drop. So, 23rd, 24th of May, I'll be at the New South Wales Scale Model Show, which is in Wollongong, New South Wales. Then the Model Expo first long weekend in June in Melbourne, and then after that, South Australia in Adelaide, the South Australia Scale Model Expo at the start of October, and then Scale ACT in Canberra at the start of November.
Okay, and we've obviously talked about the paint range ad infinitum, but you obviously sell other products as well, which we haven't really talked about previously.
Yeah, we do a range of tools and accessories as well. So we try and cover the basic stuff that if you're getting into modelling. We've got the nippers, we've got the sanding sticks, we've got the knives and stuff to get everyone started. And we've also got airbrushes and stuff that work extremely well with our paints. So yeah, we try and have the basic tools and accessories available as well. So we try and help new people out as much as possible with their tools.
And adhesives as well as and other products other than paint?
Yeah, we've just got an extra thin cement. So as in nearly every model brand out there, everyone's got an extra thin cement. So we've got ours as well. And weathering washes and that stuff as well. But the core of our business is our paints.
Okay, and what is your website?
www.scalemodeler.com.au is our main retail site. On there you'll find our full range plus a map to all our retailers worldwide. And if you're a retailer and you're interested, there's a link where you can apply for an account with us. If you're in Australia, if you're in New Zealand, America, Canada, or the UK, we can put you onto our local distributor. And for all your UK listeners, if you head to smspaints.co.uk, it'll bring up a big list of all the UK-based retailers that stock our products. So you can find one who's closest to you, or one who will ship to you direct, and buy our products through one of your local retailers.
And for those that haven't tried Scott's paint yet, if you're into lacquer paints, there is nothing better. I've tried the vast majority that are available, and they don't come a patch onto the Scots, and they're not blowing smoke in the derriere. It is a fantastic product. And Dan, you've used them, and Boulders as well. And
yeah, Australian colours, especially for Spits, because you can never get that brown for Spitfires over here.
It's one of those colours. It varies so much from manufacturer to manufacturer, and it's just one of those difficult ones. It took us a while to get right, but we got it right finally.
It's the redness in it. It's the redness, especially for Aussie Spits.
And you also got to factor into a lot of the colours change dramatically when you put in secondary or tertiary camouflage colours. So you'll put that dark earth down, it'll look like really mustardy brown colour, but as soon as you put the green on, it'll darken up and look really, really good.
Colour theory, love it.
And John, what have you got in the pipeline other than starting a new charity and having no time to yourself?
Oh, there's all that. But so fortunately, my twin brother and I went over to Telford. We did a 2-week tour of the UK, like before and after that, and met Malcolm and James and all, basically who's who in the zoo over there. It was fantastic. We do plan to get back there, and at this stage, I think next year, the end of next year, will be another UK trip. There are some museums that need to be revisited or visited the first time. I haven't been to certain places like the De Havilland Museum, so I think the next destination I have is over your way. We shall see.
Fantastic. Well, when you come across, just keep in touch when you come across and we'll meet up. Go for a meal.
Oh, you'll get the beer in the microwave for us? That'd be great.
Yeah.
Something like that, yes.
Yeah.
I'll pre-recce the De Havilland Museum, John, because I'm going there next weekend.
Ah.
Yeah. They're having a little model show, and I need some reference photos for my Tamiya 32nd Mozzie.
And Sam, what is your channel online that people can actually see you?
It's very, very imaginatively named SD Scale Models.
Wow.
on the nose.
I couldn't think of, I'm ridiculous. I couldn't think of anything else, so I was stuck with that. So available on Instagram, obviously Facebook, and now YouTube as well. So swing by, throw us a subscribe and a like.
That's easy for you to say.
Love your work, Sam. Really do. It's awesome.
I've watched every episode of the Spitfire build, and it is absolutely enthralling to watch. And obviously it's in 30-second scale. I've taken the DBM KC Furies on your list.
Oh, look.
Especially with 2 Australian schemes in the box.
Yeah, to be perfectly honest, I'm just so ignorant. Like, I was like, oh, not really my thing. And then someone said the RAN used it, right? I'm like, oh, okay, then. So I'll have to get one of those. What a goose. So yeah, I'll probably will get one. I'll snap and have to get one at some point. So yeah.
There's the Aussie schemes.
Yeah, look at that. Yep. I did look at them and they looked a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know, they never saw active service overseas in Australian use. I think they didn't fight Korea with them, I don't think.
Didn't they?
They're not wartime schemes. They don't look like they're wartime schemes anyway. They look a little bit like...
No, they're both aerobatic team schemes.
Aerobatic team schemes. So hopefully a later boxing will have something that's a little bit more interesting that I can weather the snot out of, because I like to do that. I've worked that out already. So the clean ones aren't
as appealing
necessarily my thing.
But with the Skunkworks Centaurus that's come out to go with it.
Oh, yeah. All right, stop talking about it.
It is absolutely sublime.
Needs to get aftermarket decals because the Aussies did use it in the Korean War.
We did. Okay, there you go. So it shows ignorance, like ridiculous. So, yeah.
Job for Rue Deco if ever there was one.
Yeah. 805 and 808 squadron.
Yeah. Realistically, it'd just be skippies and fuselage codes, right? So if the skippies come in the box and you just make fuselage codes in silhouette and make your own markings and away you go into the website now. Thanks, guys. No, I'm not. I'm really not. I'm not.
Yes, you are. The good thing with the DBMK is it actually comes with masks, it comes with decals, it comes with photo etch. It's absolutely brilliant. And for their first major release.
Yeah, it looks really good. Local guy Kevin Futter, he's building one. Large-scale planes, runs large-scale planes, and it looks fantastic. I was really blown away. The panel lines and the fuselage and the main gear bay for a first release. What a kit. Like, it looks really great. So
I think it's 216 plastic parts and 171 photo etch parts. So there's a lot of photo etch in it.
Yeah. The cockpit, yeah. I have to say, not to disparage, I don't mean this in a negative way, but the cockpit looked like it needed a bit of love, like it was a bit underdone compared to the main gear bay. It's like they spent all their effort getting the gear bays looking amazing, and then the cockpit's like, here is a photo etch lever that looks terrible. Like,
the thing is, though, Sam, that with the Sea Fury, once you've assembled it all you can see is the instrument panel. You can't see anything else. It's like the Mark II Tempest.
Yeah.
It's all black.
It's all black. Yeah, right. Oh, damn.
But the throttle box is 9 components to start with. So when you start looking at it like that, there's a lot of photo etch for the cockpit, and there are the consoles. It may look bland. I can assure you it isn't.
Yeah. I guess it comes down to a great paint job too, right? So, yeah. Stop it.
It's 30-second scale, as Stuart said. Are you buying them all up?
50 Shades of Black.
Yeah, no. I'm running out of room. You can see behind me there, the cabinet. There's the 24 scale 109 on its side because it doesn't fit in the cabinet properly.
Oh, I love that.
So, yeah, I'm out of room. So, yeah, bursting at the seams here.
Well, just not take that wall out behind you. That's not a problem. Extend through.
Yeah. The walls are overrated, right? Yeah.
Yeah, quite. With that, guys, thank you very much. I know it's obviously getting late for you out there in Oz compared to us. We're looking at getting our lunch. But thank you for your time. And hopefully we'll get a chance to either meet you or actually speak to you again in the near future.
So great to meet you guys. Great to speak to you. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Brandon. Thanks, gents.
Speak to you again soon.
Coming up in episode 31, we are joined by Alexei Okan, the CEO of ResKit from the Ukraine.
And that just about brings episode 30 of Beyond the Box Art to a close. A massive thank you to our fantastic Australian guests, Scott Taylor, Sam Dwyer and John Marley for joining us. I for one thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. Brilliant humour and exactly the kind of global benchside discussion that this show was built around in the first place. Though I think if I was Stuart Rolfe from Black Hat, I might be laying low for a little while. Sorry mate. And thank you to you, our benchmates. Whether you're listening while building, painting, driving, commuting, walking the dog, hiding in the workshop avoiding DIY, or pretending that the latest kit arrival definitely isn't another stash purchase, we genuinely appreciate every single one of you. If you've enjoyed the episode, please don't forget to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Share the show on social media and come and join the conversation on the Facebook Benchmates page. And finally, due to the fruit-based company deciding to keep donations for a while and then only paying out part of what is sent to Patreon, we're pulling the plug on this form of support. For those who have contributed over the last year, we genuinely appreciate everything that you've actually sent to us. It genuinely means a lot and has helped offset the hosting costs. We're now moving to Buy Me a Coffee instead. So if you would like to continue to contribute, it would be genuinely appreciated. If you go to the bottom of our website, beyondtheboxart.com, you'll find the link to Buy Me a Coffee on there. Also, while you're on the website, you can find bios about myself, the rest of the team, our wonderful guests we've had over the last year or so, and also other things about the show that you probably didn't know and probably don't want to know, but it's there anyway. So, with that, until the next time, keep building, keep creating, keep supporting one another, and remember, models, modelers, meaning, because every modeler has a story worth telling. From Boulders,
Cheerio all.
From Dan
Hiya Benchmates, don't forget, try a car kit.
and Shane.
Take care, benchmates.
And from myself, thanks very much for listening, and we'll see you back in 2 weeks' time with ResKit. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.